Starting with the agenda portion of the meeting. Item number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic. Chapter 10, provisions for Subtitle 1 of the statute, Title 39, Enforcement. Number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter number 10.16, Stopping and Standing and Parking, Section 29, Parking and Time Limited on certain streets, parking and meters on College Avenue. Item number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, Administration and Personnel, reference to council members' compensation. Then we have resolutions. Resolution number 1, approve agenda amendments. Number 2, approve payroll. Number 3, authorize refund redeemed tax sale certificates. Number 4, approve the renewal of contract for a dial-a-ride program for 2017 with State of New Jersey, Department of Human Services, term January 1st, 2017, December 31st, 2017, in the amount of $56,315. Number 5, approve an on-premise raffle 50-50 at the Stress Factory, 90 Church Street, for project graduation Spotswood High School, date March 12, 2017. 6, approved of on-premise raffle merchandise at the Stress Factory, 90 Church Street, project graduation Spotswood High School, date March 12, 2017. 7, approve a resolution to authorize the refund of escrow to Penrose Properties for Providence Square Urban Renewal Associates LP in the amount of $170.56. Item number 8, approve the off-premise raffle 50-50 at the 222 Livingston Avenue for the Anship Eminent Memorial Temple, date May 2nd, 2017. 9, approve authorization to advertise for furnish and deliver 3 outdoor IP video recording systems for the police department, specification number 58717P. Number 10, approve the emergency temporary appropriations for 2017. 11, pulled as unnecessary at the request of the Chief Financial Officer, approved transfer of the appropriation reserve for the 2016 municipal budget. 12, advise and consent to the Community Arts Council, reference appointment and reappointment. Name Robert Belvin, expires December 31st, 2019, 3 years. Name Melissa Pepin, expires December 31st, 2019, 3 years. 13, advise and consent to the City of Citizens Taxi Service, council and appointment, named Blanche Overtree. 14, advise and consent to Rent Control Board, reappointment and appointment, named Brenda Espana, alternate member, expires December 31st, 2017, 1 year. Name Tiffany Gaithright, expires December 31st, 2017. Item 15, approve the payment of special public defender to services to W. Richard Veach. Am I correct? Yeah. Not to exceed $750. Item 16, approve and request the use of city property requested by New Brunswick Recreation. Location, Memorial Stadium Turf Field for NFL punt, pass, and kick event. Date, Saturday, August 12, 2017. Time, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Item 17, approve request for city property requested by the Amy Freeman Behar Foundation for Cancer Prevention. Location, Bugler Park Jogging Path for 9th Annual Walk for Diane to benefit the Amy Foundation. Date, Sunday, October 29th, 2017. Time, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. 18, approve request for street closing requested by Rutgers University Department of Major Events and Programs. Location, College Avenue between Bartlett and Senior Streets for the annual hot dog event for Rutgers students. Date, Wednesday, April 19, 2017. Rain date, Thursday, April 20th, 2017. Time, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Police extra duty. 19, approve request for city property requested by the Lighthouse Christian Fellowship. Locations, Pittman Park, War Monument Park, Simplex Park, and Cassuth Park for preaching and passing out literature. Date, Saturday, beginning February 18th, 2017 and ending December 30th, 2017. Time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 20, approve amendment of resolution R-011764. Reason to pay additional legal fees in the amount of $37,900 to Arleo and Donahue LLC for representation of Mayor James Cahill in the matter of Steve Middleton versus the City of New Brunswick et al. And Arthur Anderson et al. Versus the City of New Brunswick on punitive damages claims from $46,700 to $84,600. 21, approve request for use of city property requested by the Puerto Rican Action Board, PRAB Incorporated, location Boyd Park Amphitheater Community Day event for the 45th anniversary of PRAB. Date Saturday, June 17, 2017. Rain date Saturday, July 1st, 2017. Time 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 22, approve request for street closing. Approve request for street closing requested by Rutgers University Police Department, location Seminary Place for open house, Rutgers University, New Brunswick campus. Date Saturday, April 8, 2017, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Police extra duty. 23, authorize the purchase for Social Services Department, youth services under the state contract from SHI International Corporation for software license for Microsoft Professional Plus 2016, not to exceed $1,428.72. 24, approve award of contract for Rollout Retreads Incorporated, repairing and retreading of truck tires for Public Works and Fire Department. Term 12-month period commencing February 16, 2017 and ending February 15, 2018. Specification number 57416P, not to exceed $44,760. 25, approve agreement to the subordinate to the restrictive covenant to the RA Use Agreement for Hope Manor. 26, approve agreement to the subordinate to the restrictive covenant to the RAD Use Agreement for Riverside. 27, authorize the lease of copy machine for the Health Department from Rico USA Incorporated for one Rico model MP6503SP multifunctional black and white copier, not to exceed $333 per month, commencing March 1st, 2017 and ending February 28, 2021 for 48-month contract. State contract number 40467-G2075 copiers, maintenance and supplies. 28, approve amendment of resolution R-051679, reason to pay final 2016 invoices of $3,000 to Faith Veterinary Clinic Services for emergency veterinary services, Division of Animal Control, not to exceed $3,000. 29, authorize tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. 30, authorize tax collector to assign sales certificate 12-0624, block number 503, lot number 017, 48 Simplex Avenue, from the City of New Brunswick to MOGO LLC. 31, approve authorization to rebid requested by water utility for maintenance and support services for the MEMCOR membrane filtration system. Rebid specification number 57817 RFP. 32, approve off-premise raffle at College Avenue Student Center for Rutgers University Foundation. Date April 21st, 2017. 33, approve amendment of resolution. Reason to pay additional legal fees in the amount of $3,306 to Benedict and Altman for Police Director Anthony Caputo in the matter of Arthur Anderson et al. Versus Anthony Caputo from $22,669.50 to $25,976. 34, approve award of contract with South and Associates LLC for proprietary consulting services for the Police Department. Term 5-month period commencing February 1st, 2017 and ending June 30th, 2017. NT not to exceed $7,350 non pro tum. 35, approve amendment of resolution. Reason to pay outstanding invoices in the amount of $2,154 with Rollout Retreads Incorporated for repairing and retreading of truck tires for Public Works Fire Department, not to exceed $2,154. Approval of this change will not constitute an increase of 20% or more of the original contract. 36, approve resolution to refer to the Farron redevelopment plan to the Planning Board for review and recommendation. 37, approve award of contract with Corporate Translation Services Incorporated, doing business as CTS Language Link for interpreters for the Department of Planning, Community Economic Development, Telephonic Interpreting. Term 12-month period commencing February 19, 2017 and ending February 18, 2018, and thereafter for an additional 12 months should the city so desire. Specification number 579-17 RFP, not to exceed $500, fair and open. 38, approve awarded contract with TR Winiger Incorporated for security improvements, phase 1 for the water utility. Rebid specification number 529-16W, not to exceed $59,722. 39, approve award of contract, furnish and deliver work uniforms for Public Works, Water Utility, Public Property, Parks and Shade Trees, Engineering, Library, and Police Department garage attendant with Specialty Graphics LLC. Term 12-month, period commencing February 16, 2017, ending February 15, 2018. Specification number 577-16P, not to exceed $57,970. 40, approve amendment of resolution R-031629. Reason, change of dates of the demolition of the Wolfson parking deck to February 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2017, non-pro tunc. Approve and temporary amendment of the revised general ordinances for Middlesex County's demolition of Wolfson deck, relaxation of 12-12.080 permit and fees, Schedule 24, Section 10.16.020. 41, approve the relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by Millennium Communications Group Incorporated. Reason, to relocate existing overhead conduit to the underground at the Spring Street, Church Street intersection to service at 120 Albany Street. Saturday, February 18, 2017. Alternate date, Saturday, February 25th and March 4th, 2017, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 42, approve resolution to authorize refund of escrow Francisco J. Garcia, the amount of $1,647, $647.59. 43, approve renewal contract with Metro Plus Ltd. for prescription plan services. Term February 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2017. Not to exceed 1,500, was 1 million? Yeah. Okay, $1,593,220. Non-pro tunc. 44, approve the request for street closing requested by New Brunswick Recreation and New Brunswick Tomorrow. Location parks of New Brunswick city streets will be closed to encourage residents to walk, run, skate, ride bikes in city streets for cyclovia. Date Sunday, April 23rd, 2017 and October 8th, 2017. Time 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Police extra duty. 45, approve the ABC liquor license renewal 2015 to 2016 for JSM Investments at New Brunswick LLC liquor license number 1214-33-014-014. 46, approve ABC liquor license renewal for 2016-2017 JSM Investments at the New Brunswick LLC liquor license number 1214-33-014-014. 47, approve renewal contract with National Vision Administrators, NBA, for vision plan for city employees. Term January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2017, not to exceed $49,000. And we got dates to remember, and we got items to be discussed by the council. Is that it? That satisfies everything? All right, the meeting will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council Vice President Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Egan.
Here.
Councilmember Escobar. Here. Councilmember Socorro Ludwig. Here. Council President Fleming.
Here. Please be advised that the notice of requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act has been satisfied with the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the municipal clerk of the city of New Brunswick, has been filed with the city clerk and has been placed on the appropriate bulletin board in the lobby of City Hall, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper of the city of New Brunswick, namely the Home News. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please remain standing just for a moment of silence to those that have given their life in defense of freedom, those that have still continue to defend freedom around the world, may you keep them safe, and for all of those in the United States of America and around the world. Thank you. All right, we're going to entertain. We have minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from February 1st.
Second. Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. Okay, we have no public hearings tonight, and we have no ordinances on second reading. We do have ordinances on first reading. First one, item number 02021-701, number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, add Chapter 10.50, provisions for subtitle 1 of the statute Title 39 enforcement.
Move the ordinance setting down March 1st at 6:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. Item number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.16, stopping and standing and parking, sections 29, parking time limit on certain streets, reference to parking meters on College Avenue.
Move the ordinance setting down March 1st, 2017 at 6:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. We have item number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, Administration and Personnel, reference to council members' compensation.
Move the ordinance setting down March 1st, 2017 at 6:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, now we have resolutions. We have resolution 753 all the way to the end. Would anyone from the public like to speak on the resolutions? When you come forward, please give your name and address for the public record. And reminder that you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Charles Cradaville. I live in the 2nd Ward of New Brunswick, and I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today, community newspaper. It's available online and in print. And first of all, I want to ask, why was this hearing moved to a new location?
We're speaking on the resolutions.
Right, I'm asking why this hearing on these resolutions has been moved to a new location.
Well, we're speaking on specifically on the resolutions right now. So if you have a question on the
Yes,
resolutions.
my question is about
Well, we
why
can
this-
go
why-
back and forth. I know you want to look back, but we can go back and forth, but we're speaking on the resolution. Do you have a specific resolution that you want to speak on?
Yeah, I do. I have several.
Okay.
And I just want, the first question is, why is this hearing taking place here instead of the other room? Where it was advertised? That's a straightforward question.
We're speaking on the resolutions.
Okay, I think people should know that
Yes.
you just voted to give yourself a raise, and the hearing on that is going to be March 1st at 6:30 p.m.
We're speaking on the resolutions, not on stuff on first reading. I understand you want to editorialize right now, but we're speaking on the resolutions.
Right, well, you didn't speak to that ordinance when you passed it, you didn't say what you were doing, so I'm just
No,
being
we're on
clear.
first reading.
So everybody knows that you voted to give yourself a raise.
Mr. Credible, do you have anything on the resolutions?
Okay, I just want people to know that the priorities that they're bringing to you tonight aren't on this agenda, but you've put your
Mr.
own raise on this
Credible, Mr.
agenda.
Credible,
And-
we're speaking on the resolutions. Do you have anything
Yes,
on the
so,
resolutions?
759 Penrose Properties, what's the, why are they getting a refund of escrow?
Mr. Administrator? 759.
I believe it, I think I can answer that. I believe they did some site improvements over there, they posted an escrow to ensure they completed the work. The work's been completed, and we're returning the money.
Okay. And it's, this is the same Penrose Properties that got a $1 million plus loan from the Housing Authority to rebuild the senior housing at 75 Nelson Street, and this is part of doing that, but they didn't ever rebuild that. Do they still have that $1 million loan?
Are we still on the resolution? Hey, you're not sure?
I don't know anything about the $1 million loan.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're cutting them a check for $170, but I think they owe us like $1 million.
Thank you.
Maybe that would be worth pursuing. Can I ask about 761, the video camera systems for the police? Where are they going to be?
760.
Deployed IP video recording systems?
Officer Miller?
They're portable, so they can be put anywhere we want. They're made to withstand the elements outside, so they can be sitting outside and record.
Okay. I'd just like to point out that, you know, the department's apparently making it a priority to buy these 3 outdoor IP cameras. They still don't have one body-worn camera. And other departments are buying those. Rutgers just rolled out a system, Edison, North Brunswick. We're falling behind our neighbors. We don't have the same police accountability measures that those other departments do. So I would encourage, if you got the time to write up a resolution to do these advertisements to buy 3 outdoor IP video recording systems, why can't we get it together to get a timeline to have body cameras for the New Brunswick Police? I'd like to point out 764, 765, 766. It's good to see appointments being made to fill these boards and commissions. I got to ask though, why no appointments to the Ethics Board? The Ethics Board has 2 vacancies. There's 4 members on it, and they can't really do anything.
We're speaking towards the appointment of these resolutions. If you want to come back during the public portion, you're welcome to ask that.
Okay, I think I made my point.
Okay, you
The
have.
Ethics Board needs to have members. I interviewed the mayor on January 17th,
Mr. Craddock.
and the mayor said that
Mr.
he was going to
Craddock,
put
Mr.
forth
Craddock.
nominees
You're
for
on
those positions.
specifically on these resolutions.
Yes, I'm speaking
I
to that.
understand. No, you're speaking outside of the resolutions right now.
You're appointing people to the Community Arts Council, the Citizens Taxi Service Council, which is a defunct commission, the Rent Control Board, and I'm pointing out that what's missing from this is the promised appointments. Mayor Cahill said on January 17th that he would be putting forth names. He expected it to happen at the first meeting of February. This is now the second and final meeting of February, and I don't know. I just am asking, when is that going to be on an agenda? When will the mayor do his duty and appoint people to the Ethics Board?
You want to speak on the resolution? We'll speak on the resolutions.
Okay, 772, legal bills for the mayor being paid for with our money is now up to $84,000. This is a lawsuit from a former police lieutenant. Can you please ask the city attorney to give a status update on this and outline what the allegations are against the mayor of the
Is that
city?
still pending litigation?
Pending litigation, we don't discuss pending litigation. I will tell you though that it's still in the discovery phase, and that's all we can say about it at this moment.
I think it would be important to know what was alleged, right?
We don't discuss allegations about litigation in public.
Okay. Well, I encourage people to read NewBrunswickToday.com to find out then. I got to ask about 777 and 778. What does this mean? Agreement to subordinate the restrictive covenant to the RAD use agreement for Hope Manor and Riverside.
I could give a legal answer, but I don't think anybody understands it. Maybe Mr. Patterson could try to do the layman's version.
Council President, back in about 2002 and 2004, the city and the Housing Authority and the community builders built 2 affordable housing projects off of George Street, Hope Manor project, and Riverside. The city provided funding for the project with a home loan from the funds that we get from HUD. The community builders and the Housing Authority have applied to HUD and received a new source of funds called RAD, which is Rental Assistance Demonstration Project, and it provides a different source of funding for some of the subsidies they get now. So this will replace some of the existing ones and provide a longer term for those subsidies, so there's more security for the affordability of the project. And one of the things that you have to do when HUD is providing this additional funding for the project is to subordinate our debt, or put our debt in back of what the HUD debt was. So the HUD debt will be senior on the project and will be the junior debt on the project.
Thanks for the explanation. I don't still quite understand it, but what I do know is that the Housing Authority runs multiple communities, multiple complexes in the city, and these are two of them that they basically privatized that function to a private company, the Community Builders. And I'd like to draw your attention to the one that they are still running themselves, and they are doing a very poor job of, is the Schwartz-Robeson housing complex.
Thank you.
And I think that the Housing Authority got a 41 on the PHAS, which is the federal scores. That's 41 out of 100.
Thank you.
And I think if you're a teacher, right, if you're giving somebody a grade and they get a 41%, that's a failure. And I think that the Housing Authority is among the worst in the United States of America.
And I'm a very good teacher at that. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Anybody else on their resolutions, or resolutions only? Please step forward, give your name and address for the public record.
Hello, my name is Melanie Chambers. I live in Ward 2. I'd like to speak on resolution, was it 786? The award contract for proprietary consulting for the police department. I was wondering if you could give a little bit more information on exactly what that is, what that was.
This is 786 proprietary consulting service for the police department. Captain Miller, 786.
Johnson Associates is a private contractor that's been hired by the police department. It's a continuation of the program. We spoke about it 2 other meetings ago regarding the program in the high school between the Board of Education and the police department. It's with the classes about constitutional law and brings the students together in the police department. It's just a continuation of that program.
So, I'm sorry, so what exactly are the consultants doing?
They're helping to develop the curriculum.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Anybody else on the resolutions? The resolutions only. Please step forward.
Move the resolution.
Second. Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig. Yes. Council President Fleming.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move to the public portion of the meeting. And before we do, I just want to say I want to welcome everybody for coming out tonight. And it's good to see some of our neighbors out tonight and everybody that's come out for concern for the community. And I hope that we can have a respectful discussion. Before we get started, I'm just going to say that over the past 2 years, we just went through a time period in the United States where there are certain groups that appeal to xenophobia, where some of our neighbors they had felt because they were targeted because of their religion, because of their belief, because of their cultures, and it stoked a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. It appealed to sexism, where a lot of our women were degraded at the same time, where right now a lot of our women don't feel like they're protected, and they feel like they're vulnerable, and there's been a lot of outcry. It appealed also to racism, and all the way across the spectrum, where it's not just one particular group, it was racism in all different groups. As African Americans, we felt like we had been targeted. As people of the Latinos, I can't speak for it, but I can't speak for them, but I know there's a lot of anxiety and fear right now, and there's a lot of misinformation right now in the community. I'm going to say right now, me personally, I've been a resident of this community for 48 years. For 48 years, and we've always been a welcoming community. There was a time where our community was divided. I mean, when I was growing up, there were lines of demarcation where you didn't cross over into certain neighborhoods where we stroked fear. But one thing that we always had in our community, we've always been a welcoming community. New Brunswick has always been a welcoming community. We've had, from way back when, I don't even go through the history of it, but I remember we had a Hungarian section of town where we welcomed Hungarians in. We welcomed them, the Lebanese. The Irish, we welcomed in all different groups of Latinos. My neighbors that I grew up next door, we had Puerto Ricans one side, we had Cubans, I've had neighbors from Mexico. We've always been a welcoming community, but right now, since there's so much anxiety and so much fear out there, it's almost like a powder keg where there's some that have a genuine thought process where the people want answers right now. But then there are others that will stoke fears, because sometimes people are stoking fears right now for their own personal gain. And that's what happens. That's what's been happening in this city for a very long time. And the one thing that I don't want everyone to see is the city being torn apart, because we have been a city that's a community, and we want to move forward. We don't want to step backwards. So I would just hope that tonight, instead of us going back and forth with one another, we can have an open dialogue, we can have an honest dialogue, and a respectfully. We respect each other's opinions. You know, so I would hope that when somebody has a different opinion than yours, that we don't go back and forth, or we huff and puff and say, okay, that person's not sincere. The one thing you could never know is what's in somebody's heart, or how somebody really feels. Somebody really feels. So I would hope that we would listen to the information, filter it, and have an honest debate, an honest discussion. And with that, I'm going to ask that we adhere to the 5 minutes, since there may be a lot of people that want to speak. To adhere to the 5 minutes, please give your name and address for the records. It's not for any other reason. And to come forth if you want to speak on anything. And with that, we'll open it up for public discussion. Please step forward.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Lina Ortega, mi dirección es 122P de la Rensen Avenue.
Good evening, my name is Lina. Good evening, my name is Lina Ortega, and
122P,
okay, and I live at 122P
Rensen Avenue.
Rensen Avenue.
Mi pregunta es, ¿utiliza los recursos la ciudad de New Brunswick para ejecutar las leyes nacionales de inmigración?
I have a question, which is, does the city of New Brunswick use resources of the city to enforce the national laws relating to immigration?
He said that we don't. No, federal laws, no. For federal laws, we do not. No, we don't.
No se utilizan, señora.
And we never have, right?
Nunca se ha hecho.
Protege la policía de New Brunswick a cada persona que vive aquí, no obstante el estatus migratorio.
Does the police of the city of New Brunswick protect every person who lives here, regardless of their immigration status?
Yes.
Yes. Sí, señora.
¿Participa la policía en redadas o investigaciones de inmigración?
Does the police participate in raids or investigations on the part of immigration?
No.
Gracias.
Good evening. My name is Cristina Paredes. My address is 203 Simon Street, Chris Blocks. Cristina Paredes, and she lives on Redmond. 203 Simon Street. Primeramente, gracias por estar escucharnos siempre a la comunidad. Tenemos tiempo trabajando con diferentes organizaciones y sé que siempre están apoyándonos sin nuestro estatus migratorio, sin saber, solo en favor de nuestra comunidad.
Just wanted to start by thanking everybody in the council. We've worked together in various projects. Really appreciate the welcome that we receive at the council without inquiring into what the different statuses are of the people that are involved. So thank you for that.
Mi pregunta es, la ciudad de New Brunswick afirma a sus inmigrantes y los incluye a ellos en cada servicio o programa sin distinción en base a su estatus migratorio?
The question is, does the city of New Brunswick affirm the immigrants who are living here and include the immigrants in the different programs and projects and activities of the city without regard to immigration status?
Yes.
Sí, señor.
No doubt about it.
Cuando surgen oportunidades para mejorar las políticas de la ciudad, ¿participa en el diálogo con la comunidad para asegurar que la ciudad siga siendo un lugar seguro para todos.
As opportunities continue to arise for more dialogue between the government and the community in the country, will the council be available to keep speaking with us in the spirit of dialogue about further policies that can be undertaken?
Sí, absolutamente sí.
Bueno, gracias y solo pedir que tanto el Consejo como todas las entidades trabajen con la comunidad, por la comunidad y pues en favor de una comunidad mejor para todos. Gracias.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate your help, and we'll continue to work together to keep working on behalf of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hello. So as all of you know, after Donald Trump won the presidential election...
Excuse me, can you get your name and address for the record?
Oh, sorry. It's Jack Merridew, for board. As all of you know, after Donald Trump won the presidential election, not by popular vote, but by the Electoral College, a wave of white supremacist, anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim, anti-refugee, anti-Semitic, and anti-LGBT rights sentiment has been rising and rising, like a terrible storm threatening to crash against us, the common poor people. We are told again and again about Muslim terrorists. Just a few weeks ago in Montreal, 6 vulnerable unarmed Muslims were murdered by white supremacists. And a few years ago, in Charleston, a white supremacist murdered 9 unarmed African Americans who invited him into their temple. The media tells us that these people are lone wolves, that they are isolated incidents with no unifying theme. Yet a few weeks ago, the Jewish community in the East Coast of the United States was terrorized by anonymous bomb threats to their synagogues and schools. Recently, posters for the American Vanguard, a white nationalist hate group, were found taped at the entrance of the Cultural Center of Rutgers. Donald Trump has made a promise to build a wall in the Mexican border because a lot of white people believe that undocumented immigrants are not Polish or German or Danish or Swedish or Italian or English, that they are brown. Immigrant communities were a target of the federal government during the Obama administration, but now Mr. Trump has launched another wave of arrests and deportations, legitimizing anti-immigrant fervor. Last week, Jennifer Bradshaw, the spokesperson for the city of New Brunswick, made a comment about the city not being a sanctuary city. So, what is a sanctuary city? The definition of a sanctuary city loosely refers to localities that help shield undocumented residents from deportation by refusing to cooperate with detention requests from federal immigration authorities. After pro-immigrant demonstrations following the article published by the Daily Targum, Mayor Cahill made a statement. He said, "City cops neither enforce immigration laws nor participate in raids or investigations regarding undocumented residents." Yet he still did not call New Brunswick a sanctuary city. I hope Mayor Cahill and you, the City Council, can remember to maintain the best interests of this community during these scary times. Our elected officials need to make their stance clear against this wave of hatred. If Mayor Cahill already acknowledges that immigrants are an essential part of the city and claims that the city police is not involved with ICE raids, why is he reluctant to call New Brunswick a sanctuary city? As you see, business is not going to be as usual. The people in this room are the small pebbles of a common avalanche. There's more than 56,000 people that live in the city of New Brunswick, of which, according to the census, roughly 38% are immigrants. We are all watching. Our natural-born citizen friends are watching. Despite the numerous corruption scandals rocking the city, including the abysmal state of public drinking water and recent unconstitutional attacks to the local press, declaring New Brunswick a sanctuary city will show us that our elected officials stand with the community on the right side of history. Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Mircea Rabiela y vivo en la 228 de la Ciudad Street y soy integrante del Proyecto Esperanza.
Good evening, my name is Mircea Rabiela and I live on Stamp Street and I am a member of the Esperanza Project.
Primero quiero decir que estoy muy contenta de ver tantas personas aquí reunidas para apoyar a los inmigrantes indocumentados.
I first want to say that I'm very grateful to see a lot of people here reunited supporting the undocumented immigrants.
En la comunidad hay mucho miedo y confusión y todos tenemos que apoyarnos unos a los otros.
There's a lot of fear and confusion in the community and we all need to support one another.
Yo quiero hablar un poco de nuestra experiencia como participantes activos en el proyecto Esperanza.
I want to talk a little bit about our experiences as participants, active participants in the Esperanza project.
Desde el 2014 hemos trabajado con la policía en nuestras reuniones de vigilancia, compartimos reportes, ideas y quejas con los detectives y vemos que ellos nos toman en serio.
Since 2014, we've worked with the police in our community neighborhood watch meetings. We've shared reports, ideas, complaints, and with detectives, and we've seen that they've taken them seriously.
En nuestro grupo algunos somos documentados y algunos no, pero nunca ha sido un problema y hemos preguntado a la policía varias veces y siempre nos asegura que no colabora con ICE.
In our group, there are people who are documented and people who are not. It's never been a problem. We've always asked at in various times whether the police have participated with ICE, and they have assured us that they do not.
El año pasado también tocó el proyecto, nos tocó con el proyecto Esperanza y Unity Square trabajar con la ciudad y la policía para establecer un proceso para las solicitudes de la visa U que ayuda a las víctimas de crimen. Gracias a Dios lo hemos logrado y ahora la policía aprueba sin problemas.
Last year, we were able to work with the Esperanza Project in Unity Square and the city and the police to establish a process to approve the U visas that are here to help victims of crime. Thank God we were able to accomplish this, and now the police are approving this without any problem.
No digo que la policía siempre es perfecta, pero cuando nos involucramos en grupos comunitarios nos da la oportunidad como residentes de asesorar a la policía sobre cómo mejorar sus prácticas. Yo sé que mi voz como residente cuenta en New Brunswick, no importa el estatus inmigratorio.
I know that the police isn't perfect, but when we all come together as community groups and we have the opportunity as residents to provide our suggestions to police on how to better practices, their practices, I feel that my voice as a resident counts here in New Brunswick, regardless of my immigration status.
También es importante que la ciudad siga pensando en cómo comunicarse mejor con la comunidad latina e inmigrante. Apreciamos todo lo que pueda hacer para asegurarnos su compromiso. Gracias.
We also, I would like to, we also think that it's important that the city continue to look for the betterment of the community, especially the immigrant and Latino community. We thank you for assuring us of supporting this. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Milagros, sí, soy miembro activo del Proyecto Esperanza también. Bueno, I vivo en la J. Skirman Avenue.
My name is Milagrosi. I am also a member of the Esperanza Project, and I'm one of the
Bueno, el Consejo y otros que están aquí ya nos reconocen por participación en varias campañas, como los días pagados de enfermedad, la ordenanza de propiedades abandonadas, y estamos contentos y orgullosos de que juntos como grupo hemos logrado un cambio, así como las organizaciones de Unity Square y New Labor.
The council and others here, they know who we are with our participation in campaigns such as the paid leave ordinance and the ordinance with respects to abandoned properties. We're very happy to have been able to make these changes as a group in conjunction with Unity Square and New Labor.
Ahora el tema más urgente para todos en la comunidad es la inmigración.
At this point in time, the urgent issue for many of us in the community is immigration.
Estamos agradecidos a todos que levantaron sus voces a favor de los inmigrantes y a la ciudad por haber aclarado sus pólizas.
We're very grateful for everyone who has lifted up their voices in favor of immigrants and for the city in terms of clearing up their policies.
Y yo quiero hablar sobre la propuesta de crear un programa de IDs municipales.
And I'd like to talk about the suggestion of creating an ID municipal program.
Y creo que los IDs municipales serán un beneficio para muchos en New Brunswick,
And I feel that municipal IDs would be of great benefit to many in New Brunswick,
incluyendo a inmigrantes indocumentados,
including undocumented immigrants.
y nos dará una manera de identificarnos cuando no se acepta IDs de nuestros países de origen.
And it gives us another way to identify ourselves when our IDs of our country of origin are not accepted.
Y también nos hará sentir más acogidos como residentes aquí en New Brunswick.
And it also makes us feel like we're more a part of the community and being a resident here in New Brunswick.
Nosotros como proyecto nos estamos enterando de esta idea hace un año.
We as a project have been researching and looking into this idea for about a year.
Hicimos mucha investigación sobre ese concepto y cómo se llevó a cabo.
We've done a lot of research about this concept and how it's been taking place.
Hablamos con otros grupos en la ciudad y recibimos mucho el apoyo de la Alianza de Justicia para Inmigrantes en New Jersey, que está aquí en esta noche.
And we've talked with different groups in the city, and we've received a lot of support from the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, who is here this evening.
Hace unos meses entregamos una propuesta formada a la ciudad con nuestras recomendaciones.
A couple of months ago, we submitted a formal request of the city with our recommendations.
En enero la ciudad nos avisó que iba a implementar el programa y nos alegra ahora que la ciudad lo haya anunciado en público.
In January, the city advised us that they were going to implement the program, and we are very happy to hear that the city also announced this publicly.
Esperemos que se lleve a cabo pronto.
We hope that it goes to fruition soon.
Sabemos que un ID municipal no nos protege del ICE,
We know that a municipal ID doesn't necessarily protect us from ICE,
pero es un paso importante para integrarnos en la vida cotidiana de New Brunswick.
but it's an important step in order for us to get more integrated in the daily life here in New Brunswick.
Bueno, eso es todo. Muchas gracias por escucharme. Muchas gracias por el apoyo y buenas noches.
Thank you
Can I
very
just
much.
make a quick comment on that? Milagros, antes que se vaya, I just want to make a quick comment, un comentario. The municipal ID has been, even before the community came to, because I have been involved with the community, and you know that we've been part of this process. The city was already looking into it, to see how can we implement the program. And it was very good when the community, Esperanza, along with Unity Square and others, we got together to talk about what does that municipal ID looks like. And so it has been in the works, and the reason it has taken a little bit longer, as sometimes it happens, is because there's a lot of logistics that needs to be involved in that, in terms of who's going to manage the money to fund the program. But the city has always been a supporter of the program, as my name has been in that letter that it was sent to the mayor asking for a municipal ID. So I just want you to know that it is, and it's going to happen. Solo quiero decirte que como tú sabes, hace más de un año que estábamos con esto, hablando sobre esto, y mucho antes de que nos reuniéramos para hablar sobre este programa, ya la ciudad estaba buscando información sobre eso, porque yo lo compartí en esa reunión, y en las reuniones que tuvimos hemos estado hablando de cuál es la mejor manera de poner este programa que nos aplique para acá, para la ciudad de New Brunswick. Y como tú sabes, porque tú has venido aquí anteriormente, toma a veces un poco más de tiempo, pero va a pasar. Es que toma de ver quién es el que va a manejar el programa, con qué fondos se va a hacer el programa, pero de que el programa va. So, te quiero asegurar de que sí se está trabajando y se está apoyando el programa de las identificaciones municipales. Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Hi, good evening. I'm Patrick Gibson. I live at 12 Saddam Street. I'm also a Rutgers student. I belong to Rutgers One, which is an alliance of Rutgers students, staff, faculty, community, and alumni on our New Brunswick campus. So I read the mayor's letter that was released over the weekend relating to the subject of sanctuary cities. And I was heartened to see him say he agrees in principle with a lot of us here. I'm really heartened to hear a lot of you say that as well, and to hear that many of the policies that fall under the sanctuary umbrella are already in place here in the city of New Brunswick. But I was also a bit disappointed in the seeming intimation that we, everybody behind me, doesn't quite know what we're talking about on the issue. Sort of, we already agree, we're already doing this, what's all the fuss here about? Mr. Cahill says we agree in principle. I'll grant him that for the sake of argument. He should understand then why we continue to press on this issue and why everybody in line behind me continues to press on this issue. We insist on an expression of policy that is written, be that statute, directive, executive order, ordinance that outlines explicitly, concretely, how the city intends to interact with federal immigration law, federal immigration authorities. And if we agree in principle, it should be obvious why we insist upon this. The pressure on so-called sanctuary cities, people who implement sanctuary policies over the next 4 years, is going to be tremendous. The pressure to aid in the deportation of our friends and our neighbors. And I think, given that alone, it should be apparent why we're so insistent upon having something that is written and concrete and specific and has force of law rather than the force of a lovely but at times non-specific and not entirely reassuring letter. It's also the case that Mayor Cahill will not be mayor forever. Mr. Fleming won't be council president forever. There will come a time when all of the faces behind the stage are different and all the faces in this room are different, and we want to ensure that these sort of policies continue to be in place in the city of New Brunswick. I guess by way of analogy, I've been thinking about this a lot today. We all know that the U.S. Constitution is in many ways a flawed document, but I think the Bill of Rights in particular is an incredible text, and something pioneering in that it was a bunch of people who strongly believed in a certain set of principles, intended to enact those principles in their governance, but made sure to write them down, give them the force of law anyway, because they knew future governors could not be trusted. They knew they themselves perhaps could not be trusted, and they knew that their constituents shouldn't trust them or shouldn't have to trust them. And I think that's why it's important that we implement sanctuary, not just in this room and say, yes, this is what we do, this is what we have been doing, and we agree with you, but also to ensure that for the future. If I have time, I don't know if I do. Oh, beautiful. Just on the subject of the particular usage of the word sanctuary. This is something a lot of cities have been resistant to. It's something when we lobbied for a sanctuary campus at our own university, our university president was resistant to. The common refrain is, sanctuary doesn't legally mean anything. We would rather implement a certain set of policies and call them by a certain name on our campus. It's, we're a safe haven. I wanted to point off first that logic is a little absurd. It would require every city that implements a similar set of policies to come up with a completely unique name to call it by. But secondly, I think it's important to call this sanctuary as a show of solidarity with all the people around the country who live in this, to make our community not just an isolated community, but part of a movement. I also think part of the reason our university president was so resistant to this is because if you call your campus a sanctuary campus, you're held responsible to the standard of every other campus that also calls themselves the same. It's about accountability. I think that's important here as well, and I hope you'll have the integrity to do that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Ganskin. I live at 1 Richmond Street, apartment 407 research, I studied the nature of the connections between children and their primary caregivers, and importantly, the deleterious impact on children when those connections are disrupted. In my time treating patients as a psychologist, as a therapist, I've seen the effects decades later on those children as adults, with their grief and their trauma and their loss. And I have that in mind tonight as I come to you, very nervous with my shaking voice, to ask the council respectfully to stand as an example, and I agree that it's important to do so formally, in the interest of children, and to designate New Brunswick as a sanctuary city to keep families together. Immigrants are an incredibly important part of this city, and one of the reasons that I'm proud to live in this city. And I'm here not only to ask for this from you, the council, but also to express to my neighbors that they're loved, they're appreciated, and they are wanted here. So I just ask you to take this opportunity to be on the right side of history, as I know you've done in so many decisions that you make week after week, and this difficult work that you do. And I'm here as well to thank you for all of that work that you do to keep this city great and to keep this diverse city moving forward. Thank you.
Peter Romero, 100 Bayer Street. I'm with Food and Water Watch. We're a nonprofit that focuses a lot on making sure that water is kept public, fighting a lot of water utility privatization efforts, and making sure that dirty polluters and companies stay away from communities like New Brunswick that we all call home. We as an environmental group are just here in solidarity with our brothers and sisters, the immigrant community and allied communities, because a lot of the issues of water privatization and pollution affect these immigrant communities. And we just want to urge the council and the mayor to join the broad coalition of cities across the country that are taking the strong stance of designating their cities sanctuary cities, and I hope the council will take that up today. Thank you.
Just wanted to thank the council, first of all, for their service to the city, and also for being here. I'm sorry, my name is Eric Weaver. I live over in Ward 5. Been here a couple times before. I want to thank you for your service to the city, as well as your words tonight, showing your commitment to the immigrant community in New Brunswick. I'm sure why you're well aware why we're all here. We're demanding that New Brunswick spell out and adopt fair and welcoming policies through executive action with police directives in order to protect our immigrant residents, and to demand that no municipal resources paid for by all of our hard-earned tax dollars go towards the persecution of people who make up the backbone of this city. In response to the mayor's letter, I find it a little unnerving. If in fact the state of New Brunswick goes above and beyond the stated demands that we provided to the city last week, why were we not provided with any specific ordinances, specific police directions, or municipal policy? Mayor Cahill himself states that clear communication is needed. However, if New Brunswick truly is a city that welcomes, respects, and protects all our residents, including those who are documented and undocumented, then why are we just not providing some specific examples? The mayor must really publicly display and affirm the policies to which, in the letter, he just nebulously referred to. If our desires are the same, why then does the mayor not express interest in working with us? If we truly have the same goals, then why does the mayor spend so much effort trying to undermine and belittle us, instead of writing and addressing the community at large, pointing to concrete policy, legislation, and police directives? We are past the point of qualms being settled by mere vacuous words by intense politicians, and only transparency and signed action put into practice will really help everybody feel safe again. Sentiments are changing in the country, sweeping through our population on the winds of a corrupt, xenophobic, and racist president. They're bleeding into the streets of New Jersey. Posters for white nationalist organizations have been seen scattered through otherwise peaceful towns, amid stories flying around of ICE raids in homes and document checks on the streets, aided by municipal police forces. Now, these are rumors. Some first-hand account, but there's a lot of misinformation flying around, which is why everybody's pushing for concrete legislation on the books. And mayors of other municipalities hopefully serve as a paragon to Mayor Cahill. I've already noticed this: Jersey City, East Orange, and Plainfield, to name a few, with a large number of other towns and cities joining the fight every week. These mayors have realized the need for transparency, whereas thus far Mayor Cahill has only met us with obstinance and diversion. There are, a number of compelling reasons to demand sanctuary city status, and I could stand here and spout statistics and quotes about how the implementation of policies protecting our residents increases safety, fosters better cooperation with municipal police, protects our financial interests, and keeps our infrastructure humming. I'm sure that a number of the other people behind me will go into this in more detail. But for me, the fight for clear, well-expressed policies means much more than that. It's about empathy, it's about human decency, and it's about respect. It's about being able to say that our city is one on a hill, one in which people who have spent years making our city their home do not have to fear the police, who know that a man who they are unable to vote for will still protect them. It's about being able to look my friends, my neighbors, and my fellow New Brunswick residents in the eye, say that not only I will do everything in my power to protect them, but that our city has pledged itself to do the same. I have an undying love for this city, its vibrant arts and music scene, its abundance of excellent restaurants, entertainment options, and most specifically, the ethnic diversity that is the hallmark of our home and makes all these things possible. Unless our city government clearly outlines and enacts policies protecting our diverse population, then I fear we may one day wake up in a New Brunswick that looks drastically different from the one we know. Thank you.
This might be kind of short because my throat kind of hurts, sorry. But I moved to New Brunswick from a town in Connecticut that didn't have many immigrants at all. And like President Fleming was saying, like, I found it to be a really welcoming environment, like way more than my hometown ever was. And the immigrants, undocumented or otherwise, enhance the local economy, culture, social life, pretty much anything you can think of. What would turn New Brunswick into an unwelcoming city and create an atmosphere of tension and like basically violence would be for our local police and administration being complicit in terrorizing local families, many of which have been here for years. We already pretty much know that we have the resources, human and otherwise, that we can use to improve the city rather than tearing families apart, denying immigrants better lives and hope for the future, etc. But we need an explicit written statement, preferably using the word sanctuary, that details like what exactly we're going to do to prevent their lives from being torn apart and from them having like their hope denied for the future. So thank you all for listening.
Good evening, council members. My name is Shannon Escala. I'm a resident of Ward 6, speaking tonight about my concerns regarding New Brunswick's policies towards its undocumented residents. In response to Trump's executive order regarding cutting federal funds to sanctuary cities, a number of other metropolitan areas throughout New Jersey have already passed ordinances to refuse to cooperate with federal immigration forces, including Newark and Jersey City. In addition, right over the bridge, Highland Park has announced that it is in the process of developing concrete, specific policies to protect its undocumented residents. In response to demands that New Brunswick pass similar ordinances that will put specific policies into place to protect all of our residents, Mayor Cahill has deflected these concerns by saying that New Brunswick has never declared itself a sanctuary city because it is a symbolic term that has no defined meaning. It's my hope that after tonight the council will be able to convey to Mayor Cahill the extent to which a so-called symbolic gesture can impel concrete results. But let's be clear, a sanctuary city in name alone is not what your residents are demanding. It is imperative not only for the basic rights and welfare of New Brunswick's undocumented residents, but also for the safety of the entire city, that the city puts transparent policies into place that will refuse to allow the federal government to deputize our municipal police force in order to deport the undocumented immigrants that comprise a vital part of our local economy and culture. In a city as diverse as New Brunswick, Trump's executive order makes every one of us less safe. Residents of all statuses need to feel that they can report crime without risking their own safety or that of their loved ones. The last thing New Brunswick needs is for the wedge between its police force and its residents to be driven any deeper. Refusing to cooperate with the federal government's harmful mandates represents one of many steps that the city of New Brunswick must take to begin to ameliorate its history of racially biased policing and to begin to reestablish the trust necessary for residents and police to work together. Those who make policy in New Brunswick have a chance to be on the right side of history rather than remembered as a cog in an ineffectual political machine. I urge the New Brunswick City Council and Mayor Cahill to set a timeline for a meeting to discuss with the public a resolution designating New Brunswick a sanctuary city, which will lay out specific policies designed to protect undocumented residents and establish a fair and welcoming anti-discriminatory environment for all. That said, the council's been talking about not cooperating with federal immigration forces, but what specific ordinance can the council cite that dictates the police will not cooperate with the federal government regarding undocumented immigrants? Is there a specific ordinance you can cite? Or any resolution that you can cite?
Right now, but we all said before, I could defer to the attorney, but right now, we're all in the phase, we've never been down this road before. We've never been down this road before, and it would be easy if we said, you know, like I said, I wanted to keep this as a dialogue, but it'd be easy if we said that, okay, this is what we're gonna do specifically, and then have to go back and override it. You know, that's what we're all in the, like you said, Highland Park is in the phase, you know, they're in the exploratory phase. I think this whole country right now, in different communities, we're in the exploratory phase right now, and in the dialogue phase. That's why we're here to hear from everybody.
Okay, so then when can we expect that a meeting will be held to discuss specific policies regarding this? We've been dialoguing with the community, and we'll continue to do that. I mean, we'll continue to dialogue with the community and hear from our residents, and we'll try to set forth something, you know, but right now, as far as what we're doing, as far as what we're already doing, it's already in the documentation. I mean, some people, I hope that everybody's had a chance to read the letter from the mayor. You know, I mean, everybody filters information differently, and, you know, there's certain things that we already been doing, there's certain things that the mayor is committed to doing, and there's some things that we've already said what we can and cannot do. So you have no timeline for when you will
No,
have...
we don't. I mean, to be honest, right now, we don't. Because we're in an exploratory phase right now.
Can I ask when the soonest is that a member of the council can sit down and speak with the mayor, or when any of you plan to speak with the mayor about the concerns raised tonight?
But we can talk to the mayor, we talk to the mayor all the time.
Oh, I know you can, but I'm asking, do you have a specific time that you
Not
plan
right
to?
now, I mean, you
after
just raised
seeing-
that. I mean, I can say, okay, I'll talk to them as soon as I leave here, but that's not realistic.
Okay, do you have a realistic time that you can?
We'll commit to speaking with them. And we have a representative from the mayor's office here tonight. I mean, it's not like he won't hear about what our concerns were.
All right, well, I appreciate you listening.
Thank you, and I appreciate you coming.
Hello, my name is David Pressler. I live at 21 Dewey Drive. I've been a resident of New Brunswick for 23 years. I've seen a lot of things change in our city in that time. One of the only things, however, that hasn't changed is the fear in our community that undocumented migrants will be detained by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. Like many residents of New Brunswick, I find the idea of my fellow residents being detained by ICE to be completely unjust and immoral. Given the instability and unlawful conduct occurring at the federal level in our country today, I think it's crucial that we as a city establish clear and straightforward policy that doesn't just protect the rights of immigrants in our community, but policy that fully enfranchises residents who are undocumented. Immigrants, regardless of their legal status, have been my classmates, neighbors, and colleagues for my entire life. I can't really stand idly by and allow our municipal government to either waste resources that we as taxpayers contribute, or to stand by silently while federal agencies detain or deport members of my community. While it's true, as the mayor's office mentioned in their letter, that immigrants play an important part in the city's economy, the families of people who are detained by ICE actually shoulder the real burden. People's fathers and mothers are taken away from them, leaving unstable households. In fact, just last week, a very brave young woman spoke right outside of City Hall across the street. Sorry, my first time, so I lost my place. A very brave young woman spoke right outside of that building about her family's dangerous and precarious financial situation after her father was detained by ICE agents on his way to work in New Brunswick. She mentioned the fear that many in our community share of ICE or police showing up at their house and taking their families away. How can we expect to build a stronger intersectional community when fellow residents live in fear of being detained for not having proper identification? And how can people who are afraid to call the police hope to live safely? Furthermore, there is a basic sense of human dignity that we are ignoring when we allow federal agents the ability to work in our city and detain random passers-by. There's a basic moral failure that we blindly accept when we allow people to be taken off the street and from their homes. And this is not far-flung idealism. These are the set of values that New Brunswick, the city, has instilled in me. From going to my local congregation to going to the public school system here. We as residents, and I think you as members of New Brunswick City Council, have an obligation to see to the safety of all New Brunswick residents, not just the ones that are registered to vote. What do we gain by putting the power and wealth of a few before the human rights of the people we live alongside? The answer is clear: we gain nothing. Our city government must act swiftly and transparently in order to ensure the undocumented residents of our city have meaningful legal protection, not just things protecting their ability to be stopped, randomly, or detained, but things that enfranchise them, that bring them into this community. I know we've mentioned the, I believe, U visa or municipal visa, which I think is a good first step. Like a lot of people here have said, I don't think we consider ourselves to be enemies. I think we do have common goals. I think it's just going to require a lot of people coming here every meeting and talking about it to really make it happen. But I think if other people want to, that's a lot to do. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Castellanos. I was a former resident of Ward 5, but now I am currently a resident of Sayreville. Today I'm speaking to you as someone with a passion for cities, people, and politics. As the primary densely populated, walkable urban area in central New Jersey, located along the Northeast Corridor, endowed with the headquarters of one of the world's largest companies by market cap, 2 major research hospitals, the flagship campus of the State University of the wealthiest state in the Union, our fair city has been blessed with an incredible asset base that leaves us adequately prepared to tackle the challenges of the 21st century. But as the luxury developments which surround the city tell me, the luxury developments which surround the city tell me, New Brunswick has global aspirations which match said asset base. Unfortunately, the mayor with his comments does not seem to understand that the forces of globalization are a two-way street. In order for New Brunswick and similarly situated cities in the country to succeed, the flow of capital and more importantly people must be allowed to proceed with as little interruption as possible. Mayor Cahill's hesitance sends a terrible signal to the scholars, business people, chemists, doctors, students, corner store entrepreneurs, and their betrothed and their further relations around the world that New Brunswick's embrace of the immigrant vitality that has propelled it forward since the days of Alexander Hamilton is half-hearted and conditional. The Jersey cities and the Hobokens of the world that this city is trying to emulate have solidified their positions in no small part because they are diverse, open communities which have been welcoming havens for talent no matter its race, color, creed, or residency status. The same goes for New Brunswick peers around the country, places like Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Madison, Wisconsin. Although under pressure to do so otherwise, these municipal governments recognize the importance of declaring sanctuary. I understand that Mayor Cahill has couched his remarks in terms of federal funding, a reasonable concern, but one that for me ultimately rings hollow. Donald Trump's threat of defunding is conditional upon the consent of Congress, the true holders of the people's purse. Many Republican members of Congress hail from largely blue states whose economies are propelled by dynamic, diverse urban areas such as ours. Those members are now faced with a serious dilemma: their party or constituents. If even only a fraction of these representatives break in favor of providing federal funding regardless of the city's stance on immigration, this will quickly become a non-issue. This dynamic will play out in places like the now Republican-dominated state of Ohio, which is enjoying a resurgence in no small part because formerly decaying Rust Belt cities like Akron, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio have adopted initiatives to encourage immigrants to live freely and prosper, while leaving immigration enforcement to federal agents. Congress will quickly realize that sanctuary cities, which in the paranoid imagination teem with crime and economic despair, are actually paragons of cooperation between local law enforcement and marginalized communities while providing the economic engine which moves this country forward. If the city wants to be the upscale cosmopolitan mecca of commerce and culture that it strives to be, it must codify its relationship with federal law enforcement in a way that respects all. Thank you.
My name is Charles Hansen. I'm a resident of Ward 4. People of the council, I won't take much of your time. My words won't be fancy, as I am not a wordsmith. People of the council, I don't know much about you. I don't know why or how you found yourself sitting in that chair. I don't know the joys, the challenges, or the loved ones in your lives. But I know something about you. You're all people, just like me. Just like every Homo sapien on earth, we're all people. We all started somewhere, and over time, we have walked our own unique journey that led us to where we are in this moment. You sitting in those chairs, and us appealing for clemency. Us appealing for an aegis against the rulings of a faraway man that has lost sight of his fellow human beings. A faraway man for whom your local New Brunswick residents bear little love. My fellow human beings, I'm asking you to look inwardly. I'm asking you to look inwardly. Remember compassion and remember humility for our own human condition. Think with love for your fellow human being. Do everything in your power to protect the peace of our city. And then, do more. Now is the time to stand for morality. Now is the time to bring morality into law. The rule of peace in our community. Members of the council, in these trying times, we must all dig deep and think of what we can do to help and love our neighbors. Every one of us must do more. No exceptions. Yes. Thank you very much.
Hello. My name is Jennifer Labruzzo. I'm a previous resident of New Brunswick, and I continue to service this community as a social worker working with children. I came here today, and I've never been to a council meeting before, but this was one issue that I had to speak on. Mostly it's because of the children, because they are now our citizens. These children are ours, and their parents are supporting them, and if their parents are not here, then we will be supporting them. Without the strong family systems that they have. I'm proud of our immigrant communities. I'm proud of their strong family systems. I'm proud of their work ethic. I adore their culture. I enjoy their food. But more than that, I feel like we're losing sight of the fact that it's not just a question of should we do this, it's we absolutely have to do this. We stay strong as a city, and I still consider myself part of this city. If we're to stay strong as a city, it means us sticking together. And if we're to stay strong as cities in our nations, it means all the cities in our nation standing together. You know, a lot of this has to do with human psychology. We didn't expect things to move so fast with this administration. We didn't expect for us to have more hate crimes within 2 weeks than we normally have in a year, the month after he was elected. I mean, there was a lot that we didn't expect. It's much better for us to be on the safe side here. We have to send a strong message that we are united, that our people are united. Con amor por las personas en la comunidad.
Hello again. My name is Melanie Chambers. I'm from Ward 2. I would just like to, I have a few comments and a few questions, especially regarding Mayor Cahill's letter from a couple days ago. There were a few things in the letter that concerned me, because although I was happy like the rest of us here, I was happy and pleased that he's
Excuse me, can we please just keep it to a minimum? We're trying to be respectful of each other.
He stated that he agrees with us in policy, but not in methodology. And I am concerned because I'm not sure exactly what the current methodology that he is implementing is. We come offering a clear stance, which I'm sure has been made clear to you. I know that I don't need to convince you of the importance of protecting our immigrant communities. It's very clear that you already know that. We just need proof. We need accountability, because New Brunswick is not going to be safe until that happens. When we have undocumented residents that are afraid to call the police and report a crime because they don't know whether or not those police are going to be colluding with ICE, then nobody is safe in our community. That includes documented and undocumented residents. Everybody has a stake in this. It's not just the people who may or may not be deported, and that includes the council, includes me, includes Rutgers students who don't even live here, includes people who shop and work here. It's everybody. I wanted to address his statement about how, about how New Brunswick Police doesn't participate in ICE raids or investigations. I'm concerned about the vagueness of this terminology because it doesn't say that we're not going to be sharing information. It's not enough to just not participate, but individual officers or departments can still on their own call ICE and say, hey, I have an undocumented resident in our custody. That's not participating in a raid, that's not even participating in an investigation, but it is still hurting our residents and it's still contributing to this climate of fear and tension that so many people have been talking about so far. So in our call for a clear and established legislation and municipal ordinance, I feel that needs to be something that is made very clear. Another thing that hasn't really been spoken about that I think I would like to emphasize is education and outreach about these policies. Because whether or not these policies have been implemented, I'm not sure that our immigrant communities are even aware of them. So whether you are or are not protecting them, nobody seems to know because no one seems to bother to tell them. And so I think education and outreach as these policies are implemented needs to be an important step. In terms of what Highland Park is doing, I understand that these things take time. However, they were very clear and very transparent from the beginning that they're going to be creating a task force for the municipal ID program to get something started right away. They were talking about, Mayor Mittler was talking about the steps that they are taking so that their constituents are staying informed about the process. They're not left asking questions. We are here today because although something might be in the works, we have no idea what it is. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors unless you guys are telling us. So we're just asking for you to let us in and let us be a part of that process, including residents on these task forces when you're writing legislation. These are the people that are being affected. Let us be a part of that process. And this is just another sort of thing that I was concerned about in the letter that I'd like to address, which is that Mayor Cahill was talking about how we are a city of immigrants, and we have been formulating our immigrant policies for 300 years, but our original immigrants were white colonists who continued to oppress the people of color that were already here and the slaves, all the residents of New Brunswick that did not have their power in the same ways that people are being oppressed here today. And so I don't really think that that's a fair comparison to make, and I think that when New Brunswick uses its immigrant history to alleviate our concerns, it's sort of a slap in the face of people that are still being oppressed by white supremacy in everyday life. Thank you for your time.
I'm not going to go into everything that you said, but one thing that you struck to me, you were talking about having residents having input in policies and things that have been happening, and they have been. Maybe we would have asked. We work very closely with Unity Square, Esperanza Project, who has community residents part of their boards, and they have been instrumental in not only getting the municipal ID program, but many other policies that this board, this council has instituted, paid sick leave, supporting dreamers, supporting dreamers and legislation. So they have been part of it, and for the past, I would say, almost 2 years, they have packed this place to bring forth their challenges, because I have been involved with them in order to bring forth what is, to bring new policies and new ways to address them. So they have been part of it. Maybe you haven't, and maybe we could do a better way of getting more people involved. But the community has been involved from the get-go in all of these policies. I just want to make sure.
Hello, my name is Matthew Golden. I'm from Ward 2. I'm coming up here to voice the opinions that I think everyone in this room has, that we want concrete things being done, not just words. We want you guys to take action. We're here to help with that. We want it to be a transparent and visible process to make this a sanctuary city. New Brunswick is a bastion of progressiveness. We have many great things here, like my friend Jesse was mentioning. It's an economic powerhouse. It's in one of the richest states in the United States. We don't want to look at this like it's something that we need to lead with. We don't want to follow other states. New Brunswick shouldn't follow other cities. All our neighbors are doing all these progressive great things, and New Brunswick is sitting here twiddling their thumbs. Sorry, no offense.
I know it's not true.
Okay, that's true. So I think we should be leading the way, and we want to help that happen. So that's why we're all here. To address what some people were saying about Highland Park, they're doing a municipal ID system. Mayor Cahill mentioned that was being worked on. Is there any update that I can hear about that? What sort of task force is being put to this? What kind of resources?
I don't know if you understood the lady, one of the community members that came up. She was part of that task force. We were just part of. They were from the meetings that we had. There were probably like 5 to 6 residents present. There were people from the city. There were community-based providers that are constantly working every day with the immigrant community and the Latino community in the city. So there was representation over 15 different organizations, including residents in that process.
Okay. Can I get an update? What did they say?
And like Mayor Cahill stated in the letter, and it's coming, it takes time to fund. We have to find out who's going to be the department who's going to take care of that. We got to find out who's going to be the one. We got to put it in the budget who hasn't been approved yet, so it's in the works. So my estimation will be within the next 6 months or less, but it's going to happen. That's what I tell you. I don't like to give deadlines because things to happen, and our residents know already that sometimes it takes longer than it usually does, but when it is out there that it's going to happen, I assure you that it's going to happen. That I could tell you. So it has been in the work, and again, if the city was thinking about it,
How long has it been?
this has been in the work with the residents who started talking about this a year. And they presented it to Mayor Cahill with some concrete after they did the research, and we did everything that we needed to do in October.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So they are part of it.
Okay. I just want to pretty much end there, but I received a very nice flyer. I'd like to say, no human life is illegal. Support migrant workers. Smash racism, borders, and smash colonization. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kyle Nerger of Ward 6. I'm here tonight pretty much to address the same issues that my neighbors have already addressed. It's pretty clear how we all feel. As somebody with friends and neighbors and even co-workers who are living in this community in fear of possibly being deported, I think it is very important that New Brunswick makes it very clear and transparent by declaring themselves a sanctuary city that we can eliminate this fear. Families living in fear cannot thrive. They're not healthy. If we don't have healthy families, we don't have healthy communities, and our country is not healthy. It's important that we eliminate this fear so that way we can thrive. And I urge you to do this by declaring us a sanctuary city. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ryan Fredericks. I'm currently residing in the 2nd Ward in New Brunswick. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for your time and being here to hear our voices tonight. I'm here to address the growing concern in the city of New Brunswick regarding the rights of undocumented residents in the recent federal legislation. I'm currently an undergraduate student at Rutgers in my last semester studying environmental science, and I've been very fortunate to learn alongside some beautiful people of a very large group of race and religions, and something I'm very thankful for. I can tell you firsthand right now that the tension is tangible and the fear is higher than ever. I believe that education is paramount in reinstilling safety in these people and in this community. I would like to ask you, what educational programs do you have set up in order to inform immigrant populations and policies to instill safety in this community?
I think most of the, from my basic understanding of the work that I do and what we do in the community, there's two agencies or two organizations that are mainly the ones that are working with the immigrant community, and they are every day providing them with the information, which is Unity Square and Esperanza. Between those two, they have over 1,000-something residents. And those residents are trained to go out there and also talk about different situations, not only about immigration. Obviously now, everybody, all of us are concerned about that. But it has been in place. I work very closely with them when they do have any campaigns that they have. Right now, in terms of immigration, there have been several workshops that have been taking place and will be taking place within the next few weeks. Actually, there's one next week on the 21st, on the 23rd. I think there's one tomorrow in Highland Park. So they have been out there, there's people working. Because I'm going to talk a little bit later on, there's a few, there's probably 30 plus community-based organizations and that will be meeting on Friday to discuss a collective and community-based response to protect our neighbors. So that's that much I could tell you, that we are working, we're very aware of what we live here also. So we know what the challenges are, and we are aware of them, and we're trying to deal with them as a community. And to specific to us, because every city is different. And sometimes we want to put it that every city is the same. It's not. We might have the same challenges, but we are different cities. So we're trying to make something that is New Brunswick based on the challenges that are facing our community here.
Mr. President, I'd also like to add there's also two others that definitely help. There is PRAD, the Puerto Rican Action Board, and Catholic Charities. So we work very closely with those New Brunswick people. And as I said before, they've worked with us tremendously for the undocumented people, the ID program, the wage theft. So those are the New Brunswick people that we're basically hearing from a lot.
Unity Square is Catholic Charities. I want to clarify that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you hearing my voice.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello. My name is Brian Lee. I'm your neighbor from down the road in Somerset. And a little bit about me. I was born in the US but raised in Hong Kong. I came back when I was 13. In high school, I had a lot of friends who were undocumented. At that point in time, they had lived in the US for longer than I have. They had deeper roots in the country than I had. And a lot of them had more family than I had. And yet their status was far less secure than mine. They could be kicked out at any moment, whereas I was a full citizen through no effort of my own. I mean, that never seemed right to me. It is on their behalf, and everybody like them, that I'm speaking now. As you know, yesterday was Valentine's Day, when a lot of happy couples said, let's make it official. And that's what I'm here to say, let's make it official. It's a bit like the fight for same-sex marriage, where a lot of people said, why can't you people just be happy with domestic partnership? Words matter. Putting it down on paper matters. Saying that a city is a welcoming city, or that a city sort of kind of will do all the things that a sanctuary city does, is not the same as an official declaration that we are a sanctuary city. And let me just list 3 of the reasons. First of all, immigrants and their loved ones need strong reassurance in these extremely anxious times, and it's getting scarier by the hour. Ambiguity and doubt makes life harder. Clarity is security, is sanity. Sanctuary city is a term we all understand. If it's all the same, why not use it? It also reassures us in another really important way, that the city will stand up to the Trump administration. By avoiding the term sanctuary city and not making those policies official, You may be able to dodge any retaliation for now, but what we see and what the Trump administration may see is that the city is afraid of Trump wielding the purse string like a whip. If city officials give in here, what else can Trump make them do? I mean, do you see yourself going along with every awful thing the Trump administration does? You will have to make a stand sooner or later, so let's do it now. And the third reason is solidarity, not just with immigrants, but with other places that have declared sanctuary. Your sister cities like Jersey City and Trenton and Newark need you ASAP. Don't leave them out to dry. The more places that declare sanctuary, the harder it is for Trump to go after them all. And the easier it is for all of us to stand together, fight together, and help each other get through any damage that the Trump administration may try to do to us. And also, by having the city declare sanctuary, it will make the next place more likely to do it, which once again helps us in this fight. So let us be the kind of neighbor that we would want to have for ourselves in a crisis. And we are in a crisis now. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Dan Coughlin. I live in New Brunswick. I live on Hamilton Street. I've lived here for 6 years or so. I'm also the chairman of the service committee for the Rutgers Association of Planning and Policy Students. I would like to bring up today, which is, by the way, the Association of Rutgers students that go to the Blaustein School, the public policy school on Livingston. I would just like to bring up today the Code Blue program, which I've had a chance to work with recently with Keith Jones, and we have had a couple of times. I've been there a couple of times, and there's been some ideas at Blaustein about maybe Blaustein students volunteering for the Code Blue program. So my experience so far has been educational. I've had a great time. It's a very great program. It's an example of a phenomenal thing that New Brunswick does. So what I would like to ask the City Council to do today is to pass a resolution raising the degree at which they start Code Blue to 32 degrees. I don't know if you guys have ever been outside overnight, but when it's under 20, it's awful. Under 32, it's worse. Or it's not worse. I'm sorry, but it's better. But it's still very terrible. So it's very cold for homeless people. It really sucks to not be able to have a warm bed to sleep on. New Brunswick already does this great thing. At Blaustein, we have access to a small amount of money. We can assist to a certain extent, and we also would maybe do fundraising to assist if it's a question of money. If it's a question of needing volunteers, I already volunteer routinely for the Code Blue program, and there are other Blaustein students, a rather large cohort, that would also be interested in volunteering. So I'd like to ask what you think about that.
Well, we can dialogue. I mean, we talked about, I believe somebody brought it up at the last meeting, as far as, resolution takes a process, but we can further dialogue. I know Keith does great work, and I know that, you work with Keith, and we've had stuff to do with Code Blue. It's reasonable. It's within reason. We can have a dialogue, even outside of the meeting. I tell people all the time, the meetings are twice a month, but we work all the time. So we can dialogue in between that so that we can come to some type of agreement.
So would you say you think that's a good idea?
I think so.
Well, I am the son of immigrants, and I had a good idea. Immigrants make the world turn. That is one of the most phenomenal things. The future of America is immigrants. I think that is vitally important that New Brunswick pass the sanctuary city provision as well to safeguard our immigrant population and to keep New Brunswick the progressive, excellent city that it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Marissa Jimenez. I'm currently a Rutgers student. I live in Mattawa, New Jersey, and I am also the daughter of an immigrant. Thank you for listening to what I will have to say in the next minute or so. I want to assert to you all that every resident's right to live in this community with guaranteed safety and comfort is not up for debate. I believe everyone who has said that before me has made that clear, and I hope you are in agreement with this assertion. Undocumented and documented immigrants and their families have a right to live safely in the community they foster and create. No one put my legitimacy as a resident in question when I moved to Hamilton Street and then Brookside Avenue as a Rutgers student. This respect and protection must extend to the residents who may have lived here far longer than I had, whose livelihood is here regardless of their immigration status. I'm a member of Rutgers One, which is a coalition of students, staff, faculty, and community members. Just as we stood with students who demanded Rutgers be a sanctuary campus, we will stand with New Brunswick residents, some of whom are our members, to ensure that there is specific policy that will ensure that New Brunswick will be a sanctuary city. I urge you in solidarity with undocumented and documented immigrants that you uphold your duty as public servants and support and enact specific policy that will protect residents from deportation, from inhumane treatment, from being denied the right to live their life without fear. As people before me have said, we all have a stake in making sure specific policy is enacted and our residents are kept safe. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mariah Wood, and I live on George Street. I'm also a member of USAS Local 109, and I really want to thank you for getting us a bigger room, because there's a lot of us here today, because we really care. We care about our communities, just like you do, as public servants. And as public servants, it is your job to do what your public is asking you to do. Your public is asking you to make this a sanctuary city, and to make concrete promises that we can hold you accountable to, and that will hold our communities safe. You see, we're living in really scary times, and while we're busy dragging our feet, the Trump administration is making it easier to persecute the weakest among us, and that's not all right. And you took this job, I'm assuming, because you love your community, just like we do, just like everybody who showed up here to tell you how much we love our undocumented community. So now it's your turn to do what we're telling you to do, because you work for us. So, thank you.
My name is Stephen Nurkoff. I'm actually not a resident of New Brunswick. This is my closest major city. I'm a resident of Sayreville. I have a background in history, political science, and almost have a master's in public administration. So I can appreciate how long and how difficult it is to make any public policy. I've seen the budgets, including New Brunswick's. It's horrifying. Not in a bad way, but in just trying to tackle the issue. But with what everyone has been talking about with the status of immigration and undocumented and the protection of people that live here. I come from an Irish background, and not so long ago in New Jersey, New York area, about a third of the island of Ireland moved to these two states, and to a different extents of legality, whether they were documented or undocumented. And when they got here, they met a lot of the same struggles, where people didn't like them, people didn't want them working, people thought they were taking American jobs. People said, no black or Irish need to apply. They called them the same derogatory as African Americans. And they had to take jobs which no one else wanted, such as modern illegal immigrants do. Back then it was police, firemen. Today it's a lot less dignified. New Brunswick is a very progressive town. I've seen what the work they've done with Elijah's Promise. I've actually written countless papers on it. It's impressive trying to rehabilitate the homeless who are here. But homeless aren't very well documented people. Neither are these people as well. So I think we need to take the same care that we do with the people living on the streets, the people that took a risk to leave horrible situations in whatever country they came from to come to this city specifically for whatever the reason. We need to protect them and keep them here as they wish.
Thank you.
Good evening once again. Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick, New Brunswick Today. I guess I'll start by addressing this issue that is obviously the most important one of the night. I hear a lot of talk about being on the right side of history. And this is clearly an urgent issue, as evidenced by how many people came out here to make their voices heard on this night and how late we've stayed here. And gosh, I just got to say, if using the term sanctuary is symbolic, then this should be easy. This should be really easy. Do we want to be on the right side of history? Or do we want to enable the Trump administration to intimidate us? Do we want to be on the right side of history or the Trump side of history? I think this is easy. And I think the person who ultimately is going to make this decision is not in the room with us. It's 26-year incumbent Mayor James Cahill. And so I would encourage you to use your power to convince him to do the right thing like everybody here has been trying to do. And gosh, man, when Bob Barchi's more progressive than you, you've got a problem if you're going to call yourself a Democrat. But I'm going to move on here to my questions. Isn't it true that the council used to have twice as many meetings? Before your time?
I wasn't here during that time. Before
You one of the old timers?
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, okay. Now, so you just voted to give yourselves a raise, even though you don't have
that's not
4
true.
meetings a month?
That's not true.
Did you vote to give yourself a raise tonight?
Well, we're on first, it's still on first reading. We won't be discussing anything on first reading.
So did you vote to give yourself a raise tonight?
No.
No, you didn't. That vote was not on an ordinance about your compensation. Is the compensation going up or down?
Once again, it's on first reading.
What are the details? You passed it. It's public now. You passed it.
No. It's on first reading. You know we don't.
When does it become a public document? When it's passed on first reading, correct?
No.
No? Is that
Second
what you asked
reading.
the city clerk?
Second reading comes into play.
When does it become? When is the document become public?
Mr. Council
Details
President,
become
Yes.
let me just clarify things. The ordinance was introduced on first reading, and it was adopted, but it didn't pass. It's a first reading process. Now it's going to be published, and we'll have a public hearing at the next meeting, at which time people could make comment about it. During the public portion of the meeting, obviously, Mr. Krasler or anyone else can talk about anything else they want. But the ordinance itself is on for consideration at the next meeting, at which time the council will elect to adopt it or not adopt it.
Right, March 1st at 6:30 p.m. And can you just tell us how big of a raise is going to be on that agenda?
No.
No, it's a secret raise. You're going to give yourself a secret raise.
Okay.
Okay. No, let's move on. People can take that at face value. You're not willing to admit how much you want to pay yourself. Can you please tell me, is it true that in 2001 you ran for office, you attended a conference called the People's Campaign, and is it true that you violated the oath that you signed at the People's Campaign Conference in 2001?
First of all, with the now defunct People's Campaign, yes, I did attend a conference at the People's Campaign, and if you were there, you would have noticed that they violated their oath at the time, which was basically it was non-binding. And so if you want to go back and ask some of the people that were actually there at the time, it was, first of all, it was an informal convention, so-called of the people, and the oath that we had all taken was to support whoever was the next person up. And if you had really did your research, you would have known that the first person that they actually nominated at the time was ineligible to run, which would have put me into that next place. So that canceled the entire oath out at that time. But if you had done your research, you probably would have known that.
So the oath says that the oath was canceled out.
The oath says that the next person up would have gotten the space, and they went to the person behind me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to learn more about this. Maybe we can talk later. What's the holdup with getting people appointed to the dysfunctional ethics board?
I don't know an ethics board called the dysfunctional ethics board.
It's the one that hasn't been having meetings and doesn't have enough members. Can you ask the mayor's office when the mayor's going to make those appointments?
Sure, the mayor's office. Let me see. At the mayor's office, if you please, or would you? Yes.
Over here.
Okay.
I do not know when those appointments will be going to agenda. I do know what Charlie was talking about earlier in the meeting, the conversation he had with the mayor asking when those were going to go to agenda. I don't know why they haven't made it to agenda yet. I can follow up and ask to see if we have updated information on that.
Thank you.
Thanks. And when will the ethics board be meeting?
When's the next one? They meet as is basis.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Still up in the air. Well, you know I filed 3 complaints, so they should probably have a meeting soon. Can you tell me, has Mr. Shammy investigated whether or not Mr. Vignolo is covered by the requirement to submit a financial disclosure form?
Shammy.
Well, that's something that the ethics board will ultimately determine.
The ethics board doesn't have enough members and can't meet. Okay.
I suspect it's going to meet very soon, Mr. Crowder.
All right. What are the terms of the settlement agreement reached with the Housing Authority over their unpaid taxes, water, and sewer?
Somebody.
I think we talked about that a couple of meetings ago. They made all of their back, they satisfied all their back water and sewer charges, except for the fourth quarter of 2016. When we talked about it, that was still not in arrears. I don't know what other settlement you're talking about in terms of property tax.
I'm concerned because I looked up the PHAS and I told you that we've got one of the worst ranked authorities in the country. It's rated as troubled / capital fund troubled. Does the city agree with that assessment, that the New Brunswick Housing Authority is troubled and its finances are in trouble?
No, I don't believe so.
Do you have any response to getting a 41 out of 100? And the range, this was the third lowest, I believe, in the entire country. I've asked the mayor's office, maybe you could ask if they've gotten any answers about that?
With the mayor's office.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
Okay, these numbers came out last year. I think it's interesting that you guys had a report about the Housing Authority at your October 19th meeting. Nobody mentioned that. Nobody mentioned that it's troubled and capital fund troubled. This is very serious. And speaking of serious issues that you haven't done anything about, do you have any response to the 5,000 workers who Rutgers swindled? Some of them came to your last meeting. You told me when I brought it up 2 meetings ago that you would give it the response it deserves. What is your response?
Mr. Council President, I can respond to that. I did an investigation into that. Quite frankly, I was under the impression that they had a final adjudication from the Fair Labor Wage Board or a court order. The way our ordinance operates in that regard is you have to have a final adjudication whereby Rutgers would have been determined to have violated a particular law or statute, not paying its employees. My investigation revealed that hasn't happened yet. There are charges pending, I understand, but we can't do anything until there's an adjudication on that.
Understood. Thank you for those answers. I have something I want to give a copy to all the members of the council.
Can you give it to the clerk first, please?
Okay. I only have enough for you guys, so.
I know, she'll get it.
Okay. Please pass it to them. And I have some questions about this document. So this is related to a $2,500 penalty that was assessed against the water utility in 2007. You'll see here that Ed O'Rourke, the person who later pled guilty to public corruption, reported that NJDEP and the city reported to the NJDEP that the city failed to take stage 1 TTHM samples from the city distribution system for the third quarter of 2007. Can you tell me, is the city yet in compliance with the TTHM numbers yet, or is it still violated?
Mark is here.
Oh, there it is. Oh, bigger room, sorry.
Sorry, thank you. We are currently still in a violation, but the recent round of tests was done February 8th, and we fully anticipate being in compliance with the one sample that was out there.
Okay. And what do you have to say about the 2007 violation? Is it possible that Mr. O'Rourke just threw out the results because they were a violation? Since he later pled guilty to falsifying records, wouldn't that be something?
We can't hear. We just can't hear. We get a lot of feedback in the room. Sorry. Okay. Does anybody? 2007. That was before mine. We don't have a comment on the 2007 violation. Your time is up. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Mr. Credible. Everybody's been respectful. Everybody has been respectful.
Well, I just want to point out that Edward O'Rourke
Mr.
pled
Credible,
guilty to public corruption for
back?
falsifying records related to the
Everybody
quality of
has
the
been
drinking water.
respectful.
And now I have a document here that shows that this is the very same thing.
Everybody's been respectful to that.
Okay, you'll let me speak to the end of the meeting?
Everybody's been respectful of their 5 minutes.
I'd be happy to get to the
I'd be
back of the line
happy
if
if you
you'll
would just
let
yield
me
the
speak
microphone
again.
right
Will you let me speak?
I'd be happy if you yield the microphone and give everybody else a chance to talk.
Well, I want you to earn your raise, sir.
Thank you.
I got to be honest with you. You do work for us. Will you hear me out? I got more than 5 minutes worth of questions. I'll be happy to let the folks go. If you let me speak.
You're out of order right now. I'm not going to.
If you want to raise, you've got to get rid of this 5-minute rule. You've got to do what the people want. You've got to declare a sanctuary city.
Okay, you want to editorialize right now, but
I'm doing my job.
you are in violation right now. That's it. You're in violation. Everybody has lived up to the 5-minute rule, but as a reporter, you want to violate the 5-minute rule.
That's not what I want to do,
Mr. Credible.
What I want to do is I want to get answers to my questions.
Mr. Credible, you're out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order.
Mr. Anderson, and it seems like
Mr. Credibility. Excuse me, we're out of order. He is out of order.
Most of us here. I think
Excuse
that
me,
most of
he can
us
go to the back of the line.
somebody
Excuse me,
who's
sir.
done some
Excuse me.
to be
Excuse
able to
me,
speak.
he is out of
He's
order.
a citizen. Let him speak. We're citizens.
We have a 5-minute, we have a rule for order, sir. Please do not speak up. If you want to talk, you can come to the microphone.
I mean, I'd like Charlie to talk because.
But right now, Charlie has had his 5 minutes.
I agree with the president.
Charlie has had his 5 minutes. Can you please go? Please have a seat.
Back of the line.
Can I give him 2 more minutes?
You are no more important than the people behind you.
I agree, and I'll get in the back of the line. I hope you'll let me speak. All right, I'm hoping you'll not ready.
Good evening, my name is Matt Smith. I'm a resident of the 4th Ward here in New Brunswick. I also work for an organization called Food and Water Watch right across the street. And I just wanted to wholeheartedly, both as an individual and organization, support, endorse, and echo the comments that have been made here this evening, calling on the city to immediately enact sanctuary policies to protect our immigrant communities. I also am encouraged that the city apparently already has many of these policies on the books. So I guess my question is, what sort of enforcement mechanism is there? Does the City Council regularly review detainee information for immigrants, how those cases are processed, and what sort of interaction between New Brunswick Police and Immigration Customs Enforcement occurs here in the city of New Brunswick?
Can you go back? So you asked the last part.
Yeah, so it was alluded to in the mayor's recent statements that New Brunswick has policies in place to not cooperate with ICE officials. I'm wondering what sort of enforcement mechanisms the city council has and the mayor's office has to make sure that New Brunswick Police Department is not cooperating with immigrant customs and enforcement.
So you're saying, what do the city council? We're just getting to this right
I
now. This
believe-
is something we've always been doing.
I'm not sure what type of mechanism you'd be looking for, other than it's, I believe the mayor has stated in his 2 letters that he believes it is policy that our PD will not cooperate with ICE investigations and operations, and inasmuch as he's the chief executive officer of the organization, I think he's got the power to enforce that policy.
And what sort of oversight does that involve? Is there a regular review of police records for immigrant detainees?
I think daily conversation with the police director and his administration.
I'm sorry?
I would think the mayor has daily communication with the police director and his executive staff.
And are those records available to the public? Records of communication, but also records of detainees, how they were handled by New Brunswick Police?
I can't answer that. I don't have any
Does anyone
experience in that
here-
area.
anyone here answer that?
I doubt it, because it's going to be personnel, so I doubt that. But since the mayor is a part of the executive branch, his job is to enforce what he wants to enforce, and those are the laws, policies of New Brunswick. So therefore, it's up to him to enforce or not enforce. But the policies are, we're going to be a welcoming city, and he's just telling the police officers, don't even bother with them. Undocumented, illegal, they're all the same. Treat everybody the same, they're human beings.
And does that policy exist in writing?
That I don't know.
He just wrote
Well,
it?
certainly.
No, it's in the
So it's in the letter.
In the 2 letters.
Take the words in the letter that he wrote.
That's a letter, though.
Yeah.
I can write a letter to anyone.
That's his policy as the mayor.
Not an ordinance.
And so it's an enforcement, so that's what he's doing.
Well, next time.
So there's a difference between a letter, which is expressing sentiment, and a binding policy that can be enforced and
His job to enforce, so he does what he
enforces letters. Does he enforce all of his letters equally?
As far as I know, he enforces policies.
But that's not a policy. I want to move on to the meeting on Friday that's been hosted. Is there a goal for this meeting? Is there an agenda stated, and is it open to the public?
It is open to the public. The meeting is being hosted by New Brunswick tomorrow, and it's going to happen at Middlesex County College, New Brunswick at 2:30.
And is that information posted on the website and in local newspapers?
New Brunswick tomorrow posted it on their website, and it has been going throughout the community to the community-based organizations and the community and residents who have been involved in the process of express actually interest in being part of this.
And will the city also publicize that public meeting? I believe that's...
It's not part of the city. I'm going to be there, I'm chairing the meeting, but it's an effort, it's a community effort
Okay.
that is taking place.
And so is there a process in place to take all of the public comments, input, feedback that has been received over the last several weeks and really bring it to that meeting in a good faith measure to make sure that there's really a comprehensive dialogue happening between the city's residents and our elected officials?
Believe me, there have been a very comprehensive discussion for the past 4 weeks in the city, with residents and community-based organizations. This is not this is as a result of many of the conversations, and there's over, like I said, we started with 3 organizations, and there's, right now, they expect 30 or more to be present at that meeting. And just so you know, I know some of the concerns are coming straight from our residents.
Mm-hmm.
The ones affected, the undocumented residents that are really affected are making sure that their voices are heard. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. My final question, is anyone on the council or elected government in the city of New Brunswick undocumented or lacking a form of identification?
If we don't ask that of our residents, why should we ask it of ourselves?
Well, the state or federal government could.
Let them come.
So I guess my point being is that I heard that it would take 6 months, potentially estimated, before the municipal ID program actually gets funded. And I would suggest that if anyone sitting here on the bench was lacking a form of identification, that policy could be brought to fruition a lot quicker than 6 months. If it was any one of you that were risked and your safety and security in your community was at risk, you can move it a lot quicker than 6 months. So I urge you to do everything in your power to make that happen as quickly as possible.
I just want to make clear that I said I'm implying it's hopefully by 6 months. It could be sooner. I don't know. I'm just saying that it could be sooner. I'm not saying that in 6 months it's going to happen. I just put a number out there. But if it happens even before, even better. So believe me that we are making to ensure that this goes on and as planned as we have, as the community have requested, and it's going to happen.
Well, I'm asking you
I'd
to
say 2
act
months
with
or 2
urgency as if
It has been.
it was your safety, security, and your community at line, because it is the safety and security of your constituents, and you represent them. So please act with urgency.
Absolutely, and we have heard from them. The ones that are actually going through it, we heard from them. So thank you for talking to it. You have all the answers.
Hello, my name is Christina Capella. I live in Ward 6, and I'm a member of Democratic Socialists of America. There are several of us here tonight. And as you know, there was a great rally in New Brunswick, in Brunswick City Hall last week, and there was one quote that really resonated with me. The man speaking, and I apologize for I do not know his name, but maybe he's here tonight, he said something along the lines of, "We are not here to take anything. We work hard. We pay taxes. We vote. Do you think, given how much immigrants contribute to New Brunswick, regardless of their status, deserve to live in constant fear? Do you think they deserve to be treated like they are less than human? Or would you rather make a statement to them saying you will protect them? I urge you to designate New Brunswick a sanctuary city at once. I ask you to respond to the needs of your immigrant communities at this critical time. Even though many of these issues may never directly affect you or me. They may affect you politically, but ICE agents will never barge down your door and physically remove you from your home. They will not threaten, harass, or separate you and your family. They will not throw you into a detention center where you are likely to be mistreated and dehumanized." The mayor recently gave a thorough statement outlining their dedication to the immigrant community and compliance with federal law. This may have been sufficient to protect New Brunswick residents in 2016, but it is not nearly enough right now. As it stands, the federal government and its policies are more openly racist and aggressive than they have been in decades. You must act immediately to counteract their devastating consequences. Jersey City and Newark are not afraid of the government's threats to take away a certain amount of federal funding. I am sure a large part of it has to do with the fact that those cities, and our city, will wither and die without the livelihood of its immigrant communities. Make New Brunswick a sanctuary city now. Thank you.
Hello. Sorry, I just wrote this. My name is Pierre Cornea. I live at 29 Huntington Street in New Brunswick. I've been a student at Rutgers, and both my parents work here at Rutgers. I first want to say that I agree with everything my fellow citizens have said about immigration, as well as their critique of New Jersey politics. However, I don't really agree with the snarky, quasi-disrespectful stuff and their manner, to be honest. I can see and hear the depth of character in our city council members based on their kind and important statements. I'm not here to tear down your character, nor that of our police department, our men in uniform, our men and women in uniform who make incomparable sacrifices. I just wanted to address the power of a message. When intolerance comes boldly into the mainstream, it emboldens the hateful fringe to follow suit. When leaders are ambiguous and the dehumanization of people, even undocumented people who are not U.S. citizens, who came here illegally even, when dehumanizing these people is up for debate or hinted at, then oppression becomes a legitimate part of the political scene. On the other hand, a clear statement issued by the mayor and the city council president claiming New Brunswick as a sanctuary city with the use of those words, and legal actions which support this claim, as has been done by many, many other cities, would do much to quell this tide of intolerance. When authorities declare and enforce a clear moral stance, people follow them. Likewise, when authorities are lax, ambiguous, or lean in the direction of intolerance, then extremists feel validated and encouraged to spread their dangerous ideologies. As an example of how leaders can influence their people, Saturday the 12th, after the election of Donald Trump, who ran on a campaign promise to round up and deport undocumented immigrants, I found these flyers pushing white supremacy on Rutgers campus, and I approached to show them to you.
Are they're the ones that, we're aware, they're the ones that...
At the Latin community and with the Muslim, you're talking about those?
The ones I found were specifically anti-black, but also anti-immigrant. They were found on Mason Gross in Douglas campus. I can show them to you very quickly if you'd like to see them.
So,
have you seen them?
Yes. Thank you.
So can I finish?
Yes.
I brought these flyers to RUPD and followed up multiple times with them, as well as Middlesex Police Department. No statement denouncing these flyers was issued to the Rutgers community. No actions were taken at all to counteract this message, which is being put out because of free speech. America has a long history of relocating large masses of people with less power than the state, from Native American populations to Japanese internment in the 1940s, and now the persecution of undocumented immigrants. This is not a faraway culture. These were American statesmen and women just like you who were facilitating this oppression. You are now part of the state, so do everything you can to change the American pattern. Donald Trump is loudly demanding the rounding up and deportation of human beings. He's doing it loudly. You, as part of our government, have more of an obligation than any of us constituents or any voter to fight him and those who follow him. Please demand sanctuary even more loudly and more clearly than Trump demands his crackdown if you want to have a meaningful impact on our society. Because he's demanding, and if you care, you have to demand back. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure you did report those things to the Rutgers police.
I did. I have a police
Okay, great.
number.
Hello, I'm Joe Brow. I live in the 2nd Ward. I've been a resident of New Brunswick for about 48 years now, raised my family here. I am also a city employee. I'm a crossing guard. I just want to say I respectfully disagree that sanctuary, the word sanctuary, is a symbol or just a word. Sanctuary has a long and very blessed meaning as a place where people can feel safe and can also feel that they are honored and respected. I believe that standing in solidarity with other cities that have declared themselves sanctuary cities is very important, because at the present time, we are up against a bully who's using the federal government and federal power to try and intimidate everybody who disagrees with him. I think that our Latino brothers and sisters in New Brunswick have made numerous contributions to the city and should really feel that this is their home. I would like to see us, as a city, stand up to a bully. As a child, my parents, one of the lessons my parents taught me is do not let a bully take over your life. Stand up to them. And I would just really urge that we really, as a city, we consider this and stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in other cities who have said, this is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. You're not going to push us around. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Steve Bhattacharya. I'm a grad student here at Rutgers. I live currently on the Bush campus, and I'm also here because I grew up in Middlesex County, and I'm very proud of the diversity here, especially in the city of New Brunswick, and I hope and demand that the city of New Brunswick does what's right and moral and calls itself a sanctuary city. Immigrants, including the undocumented, are vital members of our community. They work here, they have families here, they call New Brunswick their home. New Brunswick benefits because of immigrants, including the undocumented. They are vital to our city's identity and to who we are as residents of Middlesex County. And right now, because of what's happening politically with ICE swarming, these members of our community are suffering under constant threat. The threat of ICE and their policies cause anxiety. Children will stop going to school, afraid they won't see their parents when they get home. Families won't leave their homes, trapped by their fear, unable to live a normal life. Most importantly, if New Brunswick is not made a sanctuary city, this will send a message to many of its citizens that the city will not protect them and their human rights. And I also urge the council to understand the gravity of the situation. I understand that you're trying your best, and I respect that. But right now, out there, as a lot of us have echoed, there are racist forces, sexist forces that have been emboldened by someone who's actually won the White House. That's how different things have been. Before, you can argue that you have a state or a federal government to somewhat protect you. But now when you look at the White House, you see a man who has said he's groped women. You've seen a man who basically, as others have said, he'll round up people who are Muslim or undocumented. You have a man who honestly believes he can get away with anything he wants. And this is about undocumented people, but overall, as for people of color, regardless of status even, it's a very, very alarming time. For people of color, for people who are South Asian, Muslim, for all groups of color, Black American, as you've said, to walk down the street, to know that if someone charges at you, hits you or harms you, maybe yes, rationally you'll think the police will protect me or someone will look out for me. But now you think to yourself, there's a person who advocates that, who's in power. So I just know for my parents, for people, for friends of mine who are immigrants, it is a time where they're asking some questions I never wanted them to ask in the first place, about their identity, about what their place is in America, even in places like New Brunswick. So I really, really hope the council understands that, and I hope the council will do everything they can to call the city a sanctuary city, because it is very painful to see so many people, good people, who are canceling trips or not able to live a normal life. It's about the undocumented people also. It's not just about the economy or how we feel. It's about how they feel. They deserve to live a life of dignity. They deserve to go out, enjoy a movie. They deserve to walk the streets of New Brunswick, not worry if tomorrow they'll see each other again. And so with that in mind, I really, really hope the council does what's right. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Eddie Rivera. I am a resident of East Hampton, Burlington County. I am a master's graduate from Rutgers University and the secretary of the New Jersey State Democrats Progressive Caucus. The city of New Brunswick is facing a crossroads. comply with President Trump's draconian policies or stand up against hate. Well, in this day of age, this is definitely a time of state of emergency because as other municipalities like Princeton, Newark, East Orange, Elmwood Park, Jersey City have all declared that they are sanctuary cities, for some reason New Brunswick is not. And that's what's the case? I mean, this is New Brunswick, this is Rutgers University. You got so much diversity in this city. I mean, like everyone's trying to get an education, trying to like assimilate in the American dream. And for some reason, Mayor Cahill, I mean, seven terms he's been mayor, like doesn't seem like it acting as a progressive, like it crossing party lines but that's beyond the point. The point is, New Brunswick should and ought to be a sanctuary city. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, what religion you practice, what is your sexuality. The point is, we are all in this together. We are all New Jerseyans, we are all Americans, we all must assimilate and keep the American dream alive. We must stand up against Donald Trump and stand up against his policies that splits families. Well, I feel like ICE is kind of like the American version of the KGB, just coming in like whenever just splitting up families. That should not happen. I must ask you, City Council, to think this thoroughly, to think with your conscience, and not allow New Brunswick to fall flat, and please preserve diversity in your city. I thank you.
Hello, my name is Didier Jimenez. I am from Hillsborough, New Jersey, about 25 minutes away. I'm here to tell my short 5-minute story of why I'm here. I came here at the age of 9 years old from Costa Rica. I was brought here to have a better life, a better living, a better education. Since my parents grew up in the dirt floor, this is like having the world in my hands. And I love this country. I've been here since I was 9. I'm 28 years old. I've worked all my life, worked 16-hour days, and on top of that, I volunteer to my services to over 10 nonprofit charities to keep myself busy. Plus, I love it. I love working in the community. I love helping everybody around, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to help me, and it's a whole circle. Everybody helps each other. Long story short, we're here because we want sanctuary. Most of us are here for that. We both know money runs things. We both know we need courage for that. Okay, so Rosa Parks did not say, I want to write a letter that says, I want to stand in front of the bus. She actually did it. Why did it take that? It took courage to get out and actually do it. And she was able to be a leader, to show other people that when the wrong thing is told to go do the right thing regardless of what the police say or regardless of what others say. You go and sit in front of the bus, you go and make this town a sanctuary town / city because it's important. It has such a great meaning. Like those who've been here in relationships, it's like being called boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. When you're being called nothing, you're nothing. A letter is very nice. I love it, but a letter does not change anything the same way a letter wouldn't have changed anything for Rosa Parks. She had to act. She had to stand up for the bullies that told her, get back to the damn bus. You don't belong here. No, she said, we're going to stand together. We're going to sit in the front of the bus. Enough is enough. But obviously money, like I said, runs a lot of the decision making. The mayor might be worried about the funding. He doesn't want to rattle anything up. He doesn't want to have the courage to get out there like Rosa Parks and act. Not talk, that's cheap. Act upon it. And I love this country. I come to New Brunswick all the time. My best friends came to college in New Brunswick. I love the city. It's amazing. I love how there's diversity everywhere. But at the end of the day, is act. Because ICE could come here tomorrow for a week. And we both know probably the city will fall to its demands. Why? Because clearly we're scared of them defunding us. It's all about money. This is not even, we're all agreeing on the principles, but we don't have the courage to stand up and be a leader. Not a follower, a leader, because of money. And I just want you to think about it. We gotta be a Rosa Parks in our life, not just watch it from outside while, you know, she does the right thing. So thank you very much for your time.
Hi there. My name is Zachary Koch. I'm actually a resident of Highland Park, but I'm an alumnus of Rutgers University, and I studied in New Brunswick for 4 years. You know, there's a sort of a theme I think that really deserves and bears repeating tonight, and that is that the Trump administration is not interested in enacting its immigration policies, you know, for the purpose of law and order. They're interested in enacting these policies as policies of ethnic cleansing, as policies of white nationalism, as policies that are directly tied to the interests of neo-Nazis and the KKK and the forces of the hard right. And if you have warm blood in your hearts and a left bone in your body, then it is absolutely your duty to try everything that you can and everything in your power to make this a safe city, to make this a bastion of hope and defense for the people that live here, or you will find that the people will organize and the people will defend their neighbors and will defend their streets against essentially the Gestapo coming in and ripping families apart and setting them across the wall. And that's all I have to say tonight.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Alejandro Jaramillo. I am a former Rutgers graduate, alumni, scholar. My wife is a Rutgers graduate. My children are Rutgers students. They live here in New Brunswick. They work in New Brunswick. I work in New Brunswick. My wife works in New Brunswick. And initially, I was not going to talk, but when I heard Councilman referring to saying that undocumented and illegals are the same, that really offended me. Because when you use the term illegal to refer to undocumented people that are working hard, you are creating the narrative that some people in our government, like Donald Trump, is trying to use to put our people down, to separate families. It was Councilman John Anderson that said the comment. Undocumented,
Whether
they are
illegal, undocumented, black, white, New Brunswick treats everybody the same with all the respect. That's what I meant.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. But as I said, I wasn't going to talk, but it's just my blood just went into high gear, right? Because I heard this rhetoric being used so much everywhere just to justify separating families, making our community and the immigrant community looking as less, as criminalizing and justifying all types of abuses that this administration is doing. So, thank you. One more thing. As a matter of fact, today my son sent me a picture that there was a poster today in Rutgers that said, "A Muslim-free America." Yes. And already the Rutgers police is investigating. So it is even more important for New Brunswick to take a stand and declare this a sanctuary city to send a strong message across. Thank you.
My name is Craig Garcia with New Jersey Working Families. I just wanted to come out and also share my support for New Brunswick declaring itself a sanctuary city. I've worked a couple of years here in New Brunswick with immigrant communities as a member of New Labor. I have a lot of respect for the members of this council. I've worked with a bunch of you on the wage theft ordinance a while back, and I have a lot of confidence in this town. But one thing that people wanted to see with this plan for New Brunswick to become a sanctuary city is clear policies to protect immigrant communities. And it's great to hear that there's non-cooperation with ICE, but it's important to have those policies codified so we can hold folks accountable. and make sure that policies are being followed. I don't think it's enough just to say we don't do it, because as we saw, what initially instigated protests the other day was this Daily Targum article in which the mayor's spokesperson said that the city complies with all local, state, county, and federal immigration policies. And given the immigration policies of the federal government right now, that's caused for quite a bit of alarm. And if the mayor's own spokesperson is apparently misunderstanding the city's policy, then that speaks to the need for there to be a clear written policy that all city agencies, all city employees, and the police force are aware of and know. It's just a matter of training, education. It's not to say that police officers are going around town asking people their immigration status. I don't think that's happening. But there's an importance in transparency and education and training, and for both the community and representatives of the government to know what the policy is. There's a lot of fear in the community right now. We've had ICE actions in and around town going on in the state, and people, and across the country. We had a DACA recipient detained in Washington just in the past, I think, 24, 48 hours. People are just asking for clear policies. I think the term sanctuary has a lot of meaning, and it sends a clear message. I heard someone say it's solidarity with other towns that have done this, and what we need now more than ever, with honestly the failure of our federal government, is for municipalities and counties and states to take up a strong position and say that they're not going to stand for Trump's policy, and they're actually going to take a proactive position against it. I think that's what people are coming here to say. I don't think they're criticizing anyone. I was disappointed, honestly, with some of the mayor's reactions, rather than saying, the message that went out in that original article was a misstatement, but here's what we want to do, and we're going to try harder. I heard someone else say that, we're going to try harder. We should all try harder. We need to always, we always need to step up our game, but now more than ever, we need to step up our game. And I think that's what folks are trying to say. This is not about accusing the local government of doing anything wrong. It's about making sure we're getting it right, and that there's clear accountability, and people know what to expect. So at least they can say, I might not know what the federal government's going to do, but I know New Brunswick's got my back. That's what folks are asking. And I hope the council takes that seriously, but it's also not the council to decide it. The mayor needs to take action. He's the one who can pass an executive order. There's actually very limited things that the council can do. You can pass a resolution, which is great, but we need clear policies that comes through the mayor, and not just the mayor, the police director, even more importantly, has to establish clear policies, and that's what folks are asking for. And we really need you to help get that message across. And I know there's great organizations here, like Unity Square, Esperanza Project, and New Labor is not mentioned, but I think it's the greatest immigrant rights organization, personally, in not just the state, but the country. They're amazing. So I just want to make sure they get mentioned. Thank you. Work with local folks. Work with folks here. Let's get something good that works for everyone. It would be really appreciated. Thank you.
I live on George Street. I'm going to keep it short. In regards to resisting the deportation of undocumented immigrants, you said you don't have a date for when concrete policies will be spelled out, but can you at least promise that these policies will be spelled out in 3 months from now?
We can't give a timeline right now. Okay, it'd be nice. Okay, I can promise all night, but we like I said, this is all new to everybody, and we're trying to work through. When we did the wage step policy, it took us a while to work through it, but we got to it. When we did the paid sick leave, it takes a while. I mean, it'd be nice to put a 3 month and say this is this and this is that. We're trying to make, I heard a lot of people say, we're trying to make this a sanctuary city. We're trying to make it a safe city for everybody. Because right now, everybody's in fear of catching hell. Somebody mentioned Rosa Parks. I mean, like, this isn't new that people started catching hell. I'm a black man that lives in America. We've been catching hell for a whole lot longer. And a whole lot, I had that same fear walking down the street. There's some people that act like we're not a part of this community. We are a part of this community, life, breath, and everything, and we feel for the community. I have my sons right now. My sons, he has one friend that's a Muslim, one friend that's Spanish, he has a white friend. It's like a United Nation. I look them in the eye every single day. Every single day I have to look them in the eye and their families, and they know what I do. So we feel for them. So it's easy to say that we're going to put a timetable on it, but we can promise that we're trying to work towards it. We're trying to work towards it, and we have to work together as a community.
Would it be reasonable to say that it will be spelled out in a year from now?
And
In 1 year from now?
Just to clarify, what is that you're asking?
In regards to deportation of undocumented immigrants, with
That's a
spelling out
policy already, that the mayor addressed it, that there's a policy that.
Right, we're resisting federal mandates, resisting federal laws, just, that's the thing, that's why everyone's here. So can we say that will just be at least spelled out in 1 year from now?
It's mentioned in the letter. And
In
the
terms
mayor
of
says that it's a policy.
In terms of law.
If you read the response that he did, and I think that people tend to forget, and I just want to give a little bit of context. The mayor is answering the demands that were given to him by the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. And by the way, they are not asking for the city to become a sanctuary, but what they're asking is several demands in that letter. And the mayor, what he's doing is responding to those demands that they were asking of the city, and he did explain that the city already has some policies in place. What we might find out, and I will make sure that I will do a follow-up, is to make sure, I'm pretty sure they are, but I will make sure that, they're in writing. I know some of them are, but I don't want to give misinformation, so I will make sure and ask if the police department has a policy in terms of U visas. Internal policy, based on the mayor's, because the mayor is not going to say something that the police is not going to follow. And the other thing that we need to understand, and we need to be open also to have a dialogue about that, even if we become a sanctuary city, that doesn't preclude ICE from coming in. ICE could come in right now, and they don't have to tell the New Brunswick Police Department that they're coming. And I think that people forget about that they could just come in. So and I get it, I understand it. I am as worried as everybody else in here about all of this, with this president-elect that we have. So, well, president, I still call him elect, because he's not, he's kind of not my president at this time, this now. But we need to understand that we need to do a little bit more. We cannot rely just on government. We have to do something as a community also, and we have to start educating. Again, does having a sanctuary city preclude ICE from coming in? That's my question.
No, of course. So I
So
understand the mayor.
I just want to make sure
I
that.
understand the mayor can't do absolutely everything and can't guarantee that nothing will go wrong, but he can definitely do more than he has, and things can definitely be codified and become policy that's more than just a letter. So I'm asking if that specifically can be done in a year from now, or at least spelled out of what will be done in a year from now.
And again, I'm just telling you that he wrote a letter because he's responding to the demands that they were asking.
Not as a letter.
But
Not as a letter, I mean specifically as law.
what I'm asking, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're saying that just more than a letter. I'm just trying to tell you that this is a response to demands that he received. But I will make the compromise right here. I will find out, I'm pretty sure there is, that they are written policies about some of the things that he mentioned here. I should get it. For the next meeting, I will have an answer.
Hello, my name is Sheila. I live on Dick Street, Ward 6. I want to thank you, Councilmember Escobar, for what you just said. I am the child of immigrants. I also work close by, working directly with H visas, F visas, and J visas, and I have a lot of students and employees that are coming to me in frustration and in fear of their status here, because there is constant debate and change on revetting, and I know we can't handle that USCIS policies here at the local level, and I know from personal experience that ICE does come in unannounced, but I do implore you, because of within this past month, the capability of the federal government to implement policies that are changing the lives so quickly, I really implore you to work rapidly, as quickly as you can, to help our communities, to prevent us from being separated. And I understand some of you are visibly frustrated with the bombardment of us coming up here, but I really do hope that you understand that a lot of us are afraid, and whatever it is possible that you can do to implement policy written as soon as possible, because this is happening so quickly and some of us don't even know what's going to happen next. Every day is a new surprise. My job constantly gets harder. I already put a lot of work into the vetting process that we have in place, and it's always changing. So anything that we can do here is really, really important. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just make sure that people know we are not the federal government. That's not the way we do it. Let them know they are safe in New Brunswick. They don't have anything to worry about, but we'll try to help them whatever they need.
I will say the sanctuary status will definitely make a lot of the people here feel than just a letter saying that what we're doing now kind of is like it. To say that really puts us next to the people who are really fearful, and I really hope you understand.
Let them know too that in that letter there are policies, but we'll make it clearer.
Isn't enough. They need to know. They really do.
Just let them know, basically.
I just want to say something before we're almost done. I really want to thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it as a resident of New Brunswick, as somebody who works in New Brunswick, lives in New Brunswick, breathes New Brunswick 24 hours. I understand. I'm also frustrated with some of the political climate and the things that are going on. The immigration policies is, trying to, that have been instituted by executive order and so forth. I do understand, like I said, I live here, I work here. My kids, some of my youth will be affected by this. Their families will be affected by this. I also go to church here. My church, there's people that might be affected by this also. We have people asking, what are we going to do with our kids if I get deported? Somebody texts me. So I understand what is going on. I very much understand what the community is going through. And I appreciate those of you that don't live here, or those of you that live here that maybe don't have the everyday interaction that some of us do have with the immigrant community of New Brunswick, your support. But I also wanted to make sure that I am the only Latina here, obviously. So as a Latina, I'm telling you with what the policies that New Brunswick has at this time, I agree with Mayor Cahill on that. I believe me that if I knew there was something that our community was, at risk, or anything that I thought that it would put my children, because I told the kids that I work with and their families, my kids, and the community in jeopardy, I will be the first one to express concern out there. I will be the first one talking for them. Because like I said, I work with them day in and day out. I did it when the community came here looking for our support when they wanted to have legislation passed in Trenton to give the Dreamers the opportunity to have free tuition. I did it when they came here looking for support for legislation to come and help out for those who were undocumented to be able to drive in New Jersey. This council, these resolutions are proving that. I did it when the community came here, the community, the ones that live here in and out that are really experiencing this day and now, came here looking for help because they were not getting paid. The money was being stolen by the employers. I was involved in that. We were all involved. It took time because we cannot make something out of 1 to 3, even though we knew and we still know that these are pressing needs out there. We were there, I was there, talking on behalf of my community. We did it, and I did it when they came here looking for us to help out with the paid sick leave. I was with them from the beginning, even before they brought it in here. I was with them when they had questions about the UB visa for domestic violence victims and victims in this community. I was there with them from the beginning. I was there with them with the municipal ID. I was with them when they came, even before they came into this council. So I know and I understand what our community, my community is going through. But you also have to understand that the city of New Brunswick has been working hard with the New Brunswick Police Department, has been more than helpful to our community. That wasn't the case 20 years ago, and I'll be honest. We have come a long way, and they continue to support our community here. So we need to build, as a community, continue to build that trust instead of dividing or creating some confusion in our community, because some of you mentioned it. We got to make sure that we are all safe. We care about the schools. We care about our kids not afraid of going to school. There's people out there working with them. And as a community, because I'm going to make this short, because I'm very, as you could tell, I'm very passionate about this. And as a community, when all of this executive order was put, even before you decided to start protesting the city with what they do, there was already people here in the community working to see what we could do with for our neighbors, for our community. I was one of them. I called immediately people in the community organizations that are working in and out, faith-based organizations, because I believe that churches have a place in here too, to start making sure, and let's talk about what is that we want to do for our community. Regardless of what everybody else, we need to take care of our community. And that's why, as part of that, we will be meeting on Friday. People who care about this community, that live in this community, and maybe they don't live, but they work here, day in and day out with the immigrant community, to make sure that as a community, at the community level, we respond and we make sure that we protect our neighbors. Besides what the city is already doing to make sure that our residents are protected during this time. So I just want to make sure that this is not over. This is a conversation that continues to happen. And like I said before, talking about sanctuary, it was never put to Mallorquino, why is the city not a sanctuary? They were just talking about demands that the city are already doing to make sure that our residents, all of them, including the undocumented communities, live a safe, healthy, and happy life here in the city, which is, to me, is the greatest city, because with the diversity that it has, that's what makes us rich. Not the money, no J&J, no brokers, and all of that. It's the people that live here who are of diverse backgrounds that are here making sure that the city is a private one. And it's one of the best cities that we have to live in. So I just wanted to make that clear to everybody. Thank you.
Anybody? Motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I
Mr.
have some questions.
Mr. Cradwell, you can field the questions afterwards. You already know, you've been here, you've been here longer than everybody else. There's a motion on the floor already.
I think you spoke to my point here about the city's water quality violations and the six-figure fines the city has incurred.
Council Vice President
You only meet
Anderson.
twice a month.
Shame.
You only meet twice a month. And you want to give yourself a raise.
Councilmember Escobar.
You want to give yourself a raise. You can't stay here past 9:15 at night.
Council
Mr.
President
Egan shows
Fleming.
open contempt for the public throughout the meeting. Mr.